At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Tonight, the Mets play the San Diego Padres. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. It's go time at the Hyundai Summer Sales Event. Hyundai, not just new, better. By Fios. Fios is not cable. We're wired differently. Visit getfios.com. By the Kia Top Quality Sales Event. Visit tristatekiadealers.com to learn more. By Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event now through September 5th. Well, have you noticed it's been a little warm lately? All sorts of ways to try and cool down in the midst of a heat wave. Oh, yeah, they found at Washington Square Park.
Better.
That might work. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Padres. Mets lost 4 in a row. They're now falling under 500 for the season. And although they scored 6 runs yesterday, the main problem for this team all season long has been offense. The Mets have been going with a threadbare lineup in the wake of a host of injuries to offensive players. Now, the good news is that they get Jose Reyes back tonight, and Asdrubal Cabrera and Yoenis Cespedes might be back as soon as next weekend, but the Mets need to try and find a way to put some victories together before their lineup is fully intact.
Well, they have had a rash of injuries to important players in the starting lineup. I have not seen as many players injured as the Mets have had suffered this year on their roster, key players. So Reyes back is a help. His problem was swinging right-handed, but he'll be swinging left-handed tonight. But Reyes is a 204 hitter left-handed and a 303 hitter right-handed, so we'll see what happens. But Reyes is the kind of guy at the top of the order, he'll be leading off, that has always provided a spark for this ball club, and it's going to be much needed.
And Reyes, who's played mostly third base for the Mets, will be a shortstop tonight. Meanwhile, Jacob deGrom takes the hill, and the one thing the Mets have had no question about recently has been the performance of deGrom.
Well, he is the ace of this staff. There is no question about that. In his last 8 starts, if you take away that one start where he got rocked by the Miami Marlins, he's given up 4 runs in 7 of those starts. He has just been spectacular. Coming off a tough no decision in Detroit, this is a game for him. If he's the ace of this ball club, he's got to stop this losing streak.
And the former Marlin Jared Cosart makes his 3rd start since coming over in a trade to San Diego.
Well, he's been, Philadelphia, Houston, Miami, now came over at the deadline to the Padres. His 3rd start for the Padres. It's not so good for him so far. They did this year 0-1 with the Pods, an ERA for the season and with the Padres of over 5.
So the Mets try and snap their losing ways and get back to 500 for the year. The Mets and the Padres, all the action coming your way tonight on Pix 11. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Modell Sporting Goods, your fan gear headquarters. Come on, Met fans, you gotta go to Moe's. Come out to Citi Field tomorrow for Family Sunday. Watch the Mets take on the Padres at 1:10, and the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a toy truck presented by WB Mason. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. Themes of the game brought to you by Hyundai, not just new, better.
And there's Buster Poindexter on the leading off there. Disco, hot, hot, hot. The Mets bullpen was red hot last night. The game was a real hot game. A red hot DeGrom 4-run. Won over those 8 starts with a splendid ERA. And Ryan Schrimpf, 6 RBIs last night and destroyed the Mets.
Central Park. Cool off? I don't know. That's hard to come by these days.
Whew.
Mets and the Padres, first pitch coming right up. Has been the best sure thing for the Mets over the last 2 months. DeGrom 4th in the National League in ERA as he takes the mound tonight.
47 games left to play, folks. 3 games back in the wild card. Very much in the hunt.
Starting lineup for the Padres brought to you by the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Exact same starting 8 for Andy Green as last night. And why not?
Yeah.
His team hit 4 home runs, scored 8 runs last night in an 8-6 victory. Ryan Schimpf had the big day with 2 homers and 6 RBIs last night. Jabari Blash and Christian Bethancourt also homered in the game against Logan Barrett, who got sent back down to Las Vegas today. The Mets called up Gabriel Inoa to help out in the bullpen.
And there's your starting pitcher right there. Your Jacob DeGrom, 21st start of the year. That 7-5 record could very easily be 12-2. Anything, anywhere you want to go with it. This is his 3rd game started against the San Diego Padres in his young career. He is 1-1 lifetime with a 2.08 earned run average. And the defense brought to you by, that's the Mets defense, excuse me, brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Granderson back in left field again. I think you're going to see this outfield. De Aza playing a real nice center field. Jose Reyes, 3rd start at shortstop. He returns to the Met lineup. Wilmer at 3rd. d'Arnaud, big night last night. Home run, 3 hits behind the plate.
Now Reyes played just 2 games on rehab for Brooklyn. Looked good. Played 3rd base in those games, but back at shortstop tonight. And the Mets certainly could use his spark He rejoins the Mets tonight. Yoenis Cespedes is eligible to return from the disabled list Friday when the Mets are in San Francisco, and the thought is that he should be ready at that point, as Drupal Cabrera could also rejoin the Mets next weekend. So the troops are starting to trickle back in, and now it's up to the Mets to try and figure out how to get some victories as the offense begins to recoalesce. Travis Jankowski leads off for the Padres, 1 for 4 last night. The Stony Brook product leads off against Jacob deGrom. And Jake's first pitch of the night is up and away for ball 1.
Well, Jankowski with 25 stolen bases. Will Meyer behind him with 21. So there's speed. Myers, excuse me. They have speed at the top.
Jankowski takes up and away, so deGrom missing up with his first 2 pitches. Jake in his last start in Detroit had a bunch of base runners against him early in the game. We got 3 double plays in the first 4 innings. Left the game with a 1-0 lead, but an infield hit right before he left and an infield hit right after he left broke his scoreless inning streak at 20 innings.
He threw a wonderful ball game, that's for sure. 103 pitches. How about that?
And a 4-pitch walk to Jankowski to start this game.
Very unusual for Jacob.
Last thing in the world deGrom wanted to do with a noted base stealer Jankowski.
We know one thing about Jacob is that when he can right the ship, and when he has a tough outing where he hasn't got command or doesn't have his great stuff, he has proven over his tenure here as a Met to be a guy that'll battle through it and gut it out.
You see he's gotten off to good starts regularly. No runs in the first inning the last 15 starts. He'll take on Will Myers, who was 0 for 2 last night and walked twice. And he hits a slow ground ball. Reyes with the flip. The turn by Walker as he gets upended, and they get the double play. Beautifully turned by Walker with Jankowski taking him out. Myers can get down the line, and even though that ball was slowly hit, the Mets turn a terrific double play.
Well, nice shovel pass right here. Very clean slide. Nothing wrong with that. A little late roll. That's what you're taught to do. Slide and roll up, and then you take the second baseman down.
And he followed the new rule. He got down before the bag, and he was still able to keep contact with the bag.
Yep. Which I don't care for, but it's part of the game now. But that's good, solid baseball. Terrific turn by Walker.
And a first pitch curveball in for a strike to Yangervis Solarte. So deGrom, who got three double play grounders in his last start, first time he'd ever done that in his career, gets a first inning ground ball double play tonight. Solarte 0 for 3 last night. He goes after the fastball, misses. It's 0-2.
And Solarte, what I saw last night is a free swinger. He lets it rip. You can go out of the strike zone with him. He'll chase, particularly upstairs.
0-2 coming. It's up and in to Solarte.
So just proved me wrong. He didn't chase.
The moment could change. 1-2 coming. And just got a piece of the fastball.
Big rip. Solarte does not get cheated.
deGrom giving up 1 run in 6 2/3 in his last start, and no decision for him. He's now made 72 starts in his career, and in 34 of the 72 he's either allowed no or 1 run.
He's one of the best.
1-2 coming, and it's foul back.
Or Solarte. Very emotional up at the plate too. When he gets a pitch he thinks he should hit, he does the reverse spin. Gee, boy, he takes a cut.
And he pops one up weakly. Nobody's going to get there as it lands untouched on the warning track. Neither Flores nor d'Arnaud made much of an effort toward that ball. It was not hit high in the air. I'm not sure either one could have caught it, but they didn't really go after it very hard.
Well, look where Wilmer's playing over on the left side of the infield. He's playing in the almost pull shortstop position. It's a long way to run. If he was playing a normal third base, you would have seen a big effort.
Didn't see Solarte when they went to San Diego in May. He was on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. Former Yankee hitting .288. And he checks his swing on the changeup.
Oh,
and he went around, strike 3.
Wow.
So DeGrom has his first strikeout of the night on the half swing. Terrific double play helps DeGrom through the first. Mets come to bat with no score. Brought to you by the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Jose Reyes back from the disabled list right into the leadoff spot. Moves Curtis Granderson down to number 2. And lengthens out the Mets lineup. Travis d'Arnaud slides down to the 8th spot tonight as the Mets square off against a guy they've seen plenty of before, Jarred Cosar.
Well, the 6 starts, you can see it has not been a good year. It was highly touted right-handed pitcher. I know when the Marlins traded for him from the Astros, they were thrilled to get a hold of him, but things just have not worked out for him. Look at the walks, 22 walks in 28 innings pitched, and you give up 30 hits. That's a lot of base runners. And the defense for the Padres brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Jankowski in center field. Shrimp had a big night last night. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, forgive me. Gary, you can help me. And Betancourt behind the plate.
There's Reyes to lead off, and he takes low for ball 1. There's a tendency when you look at Ryan Schimpf's name to stick an R in the middle, but there's no R in there.
That's right. Schimpf.
Schimpf.
Like Shemp. Shep Howard.
Might really have to get that name going if he keeps hitting the way he's hitting right now. Cosar falls behind Reyes 2-0. Jose making his 17th start this season. He's only had 67 at bats. Last played on the 26th of July when he strained a side muscle, and that goes to the backstop. So after DeGrom walked the leadoff hitter on 4 pitches, Cosar falls behind the leadoff hitter 3-0. And this isn't shocking because Cosar has been walking the world this year. He's averaged over 7 walks per 9 innings in his 6 big league starts.
That's not good.
He's always been a high walk guy, but even more so this year. Reyes will take one, and it's a strike. 3-1. Granderson on deck. Walker behind him. Jarred Cosar, now 26 years old, from League City, Texas. The Phillies drafted him in the 38th round back in 2008 out of high school. And that's outside, and Reyes draws a leadoff walk.
Well, Jose not one to walk, only 4 walks since his return. Those 16, it's now a 17th game.
Wearing his Cespedes tribute on his right arm.
The canary yellow.
Reyes has 3 steals in 4 tries this year. Granderson at the plate, 1 for 5 last night. Curtis takes a fastball for a strike.
You got a guy right now who walks a lot of people. You can get ahead or get a lot of first pitch fastballs, Gare.
Cozart has given up just one stolen base through his first 6 major league starts this year. And the fastball in at the knees for a strike. His first start of the season came here as a Marlin back in April. He had a big lead but couldn't get through the 5th inning. He was up over 100 pitches. They pulled him 1 out shy of qualifying for a win. He only made 2 more starts for Miami. Then they sent him to the minors. They called him back for 1 start in July before they traded him to San Diego. And now his 3rd start for the Padres. And the curveball bounced and Reyes takes off. Bethancourt's throw goes into center field and Reyes is on his way to 3rd. The throw by Jankowski to 3rd base is not in time. Reyes provides energy. He's on 3rd with nobody out.
Advances on the wild pitch and then advances again on the throwing error from the catcher. He can still run. He's lost a little bit of step, maybe a step and a half, but I'll take it.
1-2 to Granderson, and the curveball strikes him out. So with a runner at 3rd and nobody out, Granderson unable to get the run in.
It's been a struggle for Curtis, boy, I tell you. Just can't get started. Curtis starts and stops all season, chases the bad breaking ball here.
Now Neil Walker, who had a 9-game hitting streak, stopped last night, but walked 3 times. Last 16 games, he's hitting .460. Infield back with the exception of Solarte at 3rd. And now the shortstop comes in as Walker takes outside. And now the entire infield comes in.
Interesting. Well, you got DeGrom out there. I guess they feel they don't want to they don't want to give him any early runs. The Mets, that is.
Who's Hot brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Neil Walker is assuredly hot. And takes the curveball down 2-0. Dave Bruce waiting on deck.
The infield defense on the right side, it's almost like they can hold hands, the first and second baseman. Really, that's the first baseman's playing normal, but the second baseman hard pull.
So that leaves a lot of the middle of the diamond open for Walker. Often they will put on a full shift against Neil, but they leave the shortstop on the left side of the infield. Reyes at 3rd and 1 out. That's trying to get the early jump. And the 2-0 curveball misses, and it's 3-0.
I might be inclined to give Mr. Walker a little 3-0 hit sign here. He's a veteran. He knows if he gets a breaking ball to take it. If he gets something middle in, wail on it.
A lot of these Mets have faced Cozart before because of his tenure with the Marlins. Walker has never faced him before.
Well, he's seen all of his pitches. And ahead 3-0.
And he takes the fastball for a strike. That was an interesting graphic we just ran. Mets had not lost a game all year where they had scored 6 or more runs. In fact, they had gone 35 straight games going back to last year where they'd scored 6 or more and had never lost. Just gives you an idea how good their pitching has been over that tenure.
Well, they battled back last night.
And that's a strike at the knees. Walker thought it was ball 4, but the home plate umpire Mike Estabrook judged it as a strike.
I would like Mr. Walker to swing the bat. He's the hottest hitter in this lineup. He's in the 3rd hole.
Well, now Cozart, who just struck out Granderson in a spot where he could dearly use another strikeout. 3-2 coming, and the curveball whacked the other way for a base hit, and that'll bring in the game's first run. Reyes is in to score. Walker drives it in. A Reyes run gives the Mets a 1-0 lead.
I'll put him a little lazy curveball in the outside corner. I thought it was out of the strike zone. And Walker that was something, Gary, when he was slumping, he couldn't have done because he was so far out in front. That ball's out of the strike zone and just kind of flips it into center or left field. Excuse me, I'll get it right. You can see that's out of the strike zone. Nicely done.
That's 30 hits in his last 17 games. And it's the first run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Here's Jay Bruce, 1 for 4 last night. Full shift on against him. And he takes the pitch low. Padres on their infield flip the third baseman Solarte over to the right side. And Bruce hit it right to that third baseman, playing to the right of second base last night. His first time up. Little dribbler, and that'll kick foul. Bruce running it hard all the way, but a foul ball.
Bruce has yet to get on track in the Met uniform. Has not had a good second half. Had a blistering first half.
2 down years the last 2 seasons in Cincinnati, but really back in form this year. Maybe having his best year before he arrived, but just 7 for 39 in a Mets uniform. James Loney hitting 5th in the order on deck. Walker at first and 1 out. A run home for the Mets in the opening inning. And the fastball misses 2-1. Just watching this first inning, it makes you remember how the Mets have been starved for speed all year and how much of a difference Reyes can make in that respect. It's the kind of run they have rarely scored this season.
Pulling off a little bit right now, Jay Bruce, and that's been his problem. He needs to kind of focus over the shortstop's head into that left center field gap until he gets it back. Then he can start looking to drive a ball and pull a little more. Just pulling off slightly.
Walker at first and 1 out, and Bruce takes outside, and Cozart runs the count full.
Well, Cozart is just pitching behind. What's he got here? 20 pitches already in the first inning. He's just flirting with danger, and it's kind of indicative of what his season has been.
See if Walker runs here. 3-2, 1 out. He's going, and Bruce fouls off the fastball.
Well, it is hot, folks, and Gary loves the heat. And Gary, this afternoon, when we all got here around 3:30, this press booth was an oven. And Gary insisted on having the windows open and the air conditioning off, and we all had to sit there and take it.
Little dribbler, and Betancourt is on it. Has to go to first. Walker was in motion. That's the second out. Well, I am fully open to any kind of suggestion you have.
Well, I wasn't complaining. It was Al down here that was complaining.
You know, Ronnie and I both are very much in favor of heat. We both enjoy it.
I like the heat, but it was hot.
Maybe not as much as the two of us, but I did allow this afternoon that I was feeling a little warm.
It was. Today was the hottest day. I mean, I felt. I mean, it was just when it reminds me of a day game in August when I played in Atlanta. That kind of heat. But it's kind of cooled off a little bit, but I'm still sweating.
Well, just wait till tomorrow. Got a day game.
And then get on an airplane.
It's supposed to be 95 again, and then we go to 107 in Arizona.
I may have to try to find a shower someplace in this ballpark before we get in that airplane.
You're not sitting next to me, are you?
We don't have our seat assignments yet in the new plane, which I like that new plane.
I'm just glad you're traveling with us, Keith, because you know the first half of the season we didn't see much of you on the road.
Well, Ronnie gets to loaf now. He's got a nice break.
Pulled down to first, just foul. Well, I don't know if loafing is exactly what you call it.
Well, he's off to
he's on
what?
assignment. He has to be in Cleveland.
He's in Cleveland.
I'm not sure that qualifies as loafing.
But he's not joining us until St. Louis, so he's got a week off. Spend some.
He's working Sunday in Cleveland.
Yeah, I talk about next week during the week. He's off.
Well, because it's his birthday Friday, so he gets his birthday week off. Don't you get your birthday week off?
He gets to spend some time with his lovely bride and the new baby.
Only takes a fastball for a strike, 1-2. Now, last year you didn't get your birthday off because it was postseason.
That's right.
But normally you're done by then.
Yes. And the first World Series I was ever in, Gare, was with St. Louis against the Brewers. Game 7 was on October 20th. How about that?
Well, it's a good thing you won, otherwise it would have been an unhappy birthday.
It was an unhappy birthday. I won't go into any detail. Things were not good at home.
I'm sorry to hear that. Should have been one of the happiest days of your life. Birthday, win a World Series.
Loney taps one in front of the plate. Another chance for Bethancourt. Second straight 2-3 putout ends the inning. But the Mets get a run, and Reyes gets aboard with a walk. Walker brings him home, and the Mets lead 1-0 after 1. New York in the first inning, Jacob deGrom got a double play turned, and Neil Walker got upended by Travis Jankowski on the hard slide into second base. Of course, the rules for what goes and what doesn't around second have changed, and Neil talked about that a few days ago.
You know that guys aren't going to be coming in to take you out as much as they are, you know, staying on the bag. So that helps with the mindset of being around the bag a little bit more often, or maybe being a little bit more in harm's way. But at the same time, it makes us stay on the bag, make sure we stay on the bag a little bit longer. So that anticipation is really important when you know that you can't kind of just go through the bag and you know, do the around the bag play, around the house play, whatever they call it.
Well, the dynamics have certainly changed. The middle infielders know they have to stay on the bag, and the runners know they have to go straight into the bag.
You know what's interesting, Gary? I just thought of this, is that this is a new rule. And, you know, in the minor leagues, they used to put the sliding pants on everybody.
Alex Dickerson strikes out on the changeup.
That's been one of deGrom's outstanding pitches, his changeup. He's got it all, actually.
He's been throwing that changeup much more the last 3 or 4 starts.
He's got tremendous command. Very tantalizing pitch, sinks. But in the minor leagues, they get us all out in the outfield grass, Gary, and they put sliding pants on us, and you do sliding practice. With the new rule, you may have to teach sliding again to a certain degree, a proper way to slide into second base, because it could cost you a ball game.
Do you think anybody practices sliding these days?
No, I don't. I don't. And I've seen some pretty horrific slides.
Well, there are a lot of elements to making sure that you have a good slide. Among other things, not getting hurt.
Well, what I've seen a lot in the sliding today, I've seen a lot of guys slide in with their lead foot, and they're instead of keeping it just off the ground and into the bag, they elevate it.
Right.
They get off balance. They get their weight way too like back in a rocking chair, and their feet will go with it. Will go up in the air. That's what I've seen a lot of. And that's a lot of them are in there. Would be safe.
Ryan Schimpf pops one up and then it comes foul back out of play. Well, in your day, we used to see a lot of guys use a pop-up slide.
Right.
And we never see that anymore.
Pop-up slide was what Lou Brock used, and Lou Brock was of the opinion and of the shortest distance between point A and point B, or first base and second base, is a straight line. So Lou would hit that bag and pop right up. Where Maury Wills was a hook slider, you recall. I don't know.
Of course, Ricky Henderson was the guy who started going in head first.
Right.
On all of his stolen base attempts.
But he knew how to do it. He never broke his finger. But Lou, when you pop up slide, you can pop up and dart off. If the ball goes over the head of or in the dirt in the outfield, you're on your way to the next base.
Schimpf takes strike 3 called. As DeGrom paints the outside corner with the slider. His 3rd consecutive strikeout.
Beautiful backdoor slider. And that is a strike. I still don't understand why they got rid of the black. Black borderline on home plate. I don't understand it. The contrast between that little black stripe that would go in the corner and a white ball. It helps the umpire.
Jabari Blash takes high for ball 1. Blash homered last night right after Schimpf hit a grand slam.
It was a Schimpf and a Blash.
Yes, it was.
Nice call, Garrett.
It was the first time since rookie status became official in 1958 that 2 rookies had ever hit back-to-back home runs, with the first one being a grand slam.
I can believe that.
And DeGrom gets ahead 1-2. That got kind of trumped today by what happened at Yankee Stadium when Tyler Austin and Aaron Judge both homered in their first major league at bat back-to-back, which had never happened before. It's a weekend for the rookies. 1-2 coming. And that misses. 2-2. To Blash. Just missed. Full count. Christian Bethancourt would be next. DeGrom's 3-2. Struck him out. Jacob DeGrom strikes out the side in the 2nd inning. DeGrom's fan 4 in a row. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by the new movie Hands of Stone, the true story of Roberto Duran, starring Edgar Ramirez, Robert De Niro, and Usher. Take a look. Mets with a 1-0 lead.
Let's see where the Cardinals beat up on the Cubs today.
Brought an end to the Cubs' 11-game winning streak. But more important to the Mets right now, the Marlins, who have the second wild card spot, are starting to really struggle. They've lost 7 of 10 and they're down early again. Wilmer Flores 0 for his last 10. Leads off in the home second, takes a call strike. White Sox lead the Marlins 4-1 in the second. Scored 4 runs in the first 2 innings against Adam Conley.
The Pirates are getting beat up by the Dodgers too. That's a good thing to have happen.
So while the Mets are floundering around, losing on a regular basis this last couple of weeks, they're still just 3 games out in the wild card.
Right.
St. Louis, with their win today, tied Miami for the second wild card spot. Pittsburgh a game back. And the curveball from Kozar misses 1 and 2.
I mean, it was really tough. The terrific rookie shortstop with the Rockies got hurt right here in Citi Field. That really hurt the Rockies. They're 4.5 back.
Well, within days, both Trevor Story and Aledmys Diaz went down with long-term injuries. Story for the Rockies, Diaz for the Cardinals.
Story was leading the National League in home runs when he went down.
It's left Corey Seager as pretty much the prime candidate for National League Rookie of the Year honors.
He's got nothing to fool anybody with that breaking ball. Not the least bit fooling Wilmer. He takes too much off the breaking ball.
6th batter for Kozart in his 4th 3-ball count already. He walked the leadoff hitter Reyes in the first inning, and that cost him a run. Three-2 to Wilmer, and he smacks one foul. That'll go out of play. Jarred Kozart's career got off to a really good start in Houston in 2013, but he has struggled repeatedly since then as he's bounced to several different organizations. That's lined into right center, a base hit. So Flores gets the Mets started in the second with a leadoff single.
Good at bat by Wilmer. Didn't fish for any of the breaking balls in the dirt behind the count. Got it to full. Little mediocre cutter up in the strike zone, goes right with it. Too much plate upstairs.
So the Mets have their second hit, and now Alejandro De Aza getting another start in center field. De Aza, who had the great month of July, hit .375 in July, has gone backwards in August, hitting just .115, 3 for 26.
He got hit in the, what would you say it was, the neck?
Yeah.
It kind of grazed his cheek. Very fortunate last night.
It's a double play ball right to Schimpf, and the turn by Noonan for the 4-6-3 double play.
Well, the pitcher's best friend. Get you right out of trouble. Taylor-made.
So just like that, the leadoff hit is erased. 2 out and nobody on for Travis d'Arnaud, who had a good night at the plate last night. Travis went 3 for 4, including his 4th home run of the year. Kind of night that's been elusive for Travis this year, and he hopes to be able to build on that.
Well, interesting comments in the paper from hitting coach Kevin Long. We mentioned ad nauseum up here at the difference in how, here's Kev, done a terrific job as hitting coach here with the Mets. The way d'Arnaud holds his bat. Wraps the bat around his, in the front part of his, facing, almost pointing to the pitcher. He tried to do a couple things, and Kevin Long's quote in the paper was, he's going to let him do it because he's going to get, no matter where we put his bat, look how it's pointing towards the pitcher. I mean, that is extreme.
That's toward the middle of the diamond, and Darno's got himself a base hit. His 4th hit in 5 at-bats in this series. Yeah, what Kevin said was, well, start him there, because if you start him anywhere else, he's going to go there anyway, and that makes the swing even longer.
It's more movement, absolutely. And think about the timing of it. I mean, that's because of these shifts. That's a routine ground ball. Oh, it's another hanger. Oh, my goodness. Makes me want to get back in pinstripes again.
The orange and blue.
Of course, not the Navy.
Here's DeGrom, who has 5 hits, 2 RBIs this year.
Well, I think Gary made the point is that they're going to let him do that, because if they put the bat at a proper position, he's going to go forward anyway, and it's going to be a longer swing. So we'll see how this goes. But, you know, Travis never used to hold his bat that way. I don't recall that.
The question is, when he gets to the offseason, is there a way to get that out of his swing entirely? So I think that it would certainly appear that would work to his benefit, right?
Yes. Well, we're going to show you the setup here. Now, this is 2014 on your left, obviously. And this is present. More open in his stance. Look at that left leg. Much more open.
Right, hands are much higher too on the right, right?
And the hands are much higher. There's a whole radical change. I kind of like. I like the one on the left. I like 2014 better, but you know, it's not me up there. For me, it's just a visual, like you folks at home. And it's how Travis feels. That's most important.
Rom dribbles one down to first. Myers with the shovel. And Kosar gets to the bag in time to beat DeGrom, and that ends the inning. 2 hits and 1 left after 2, 1-0 Mets. Tonight. That's because the Mets are holding the first ever Pride Night for any major professional team in New York. 5,000 fans from the LGBT community are here, and the Mets are honoring them and doing it quite nicely. And Billy Beane, the officer for diversity for Major League Baseball, here tonight to talk about the effort, trying to make everybody feel included in the ballpark. And the Mets have made a great effort in that direction. Around the Majors brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Jonathan Papelbon at his request released by the Nationals. We mentioned Tyler Austin and Aaron Judge back-to-back home runs in their first big league at bats. No teammates had ever done that before. Matt Holliday, we told you yesterday, placed on the disabled list with a broken thumb. That's Diaz, Adams, and Holiday out of that lineup for the Cardinals, who nonetheless won today. Got a grand slam from Randall Grichuk on his birthday today to beat the Cubs. Christian Bethancourt leads off in the third.
The wind was blowing out both days. A lot of runs scored in the first 2 games in that series at Wrigley.
Jacob deGrom has struck out the last 4 batters. Ball and a strike to Bethancourt, who homered last night. Bethancourt has taken over the bulk of the catching for the Padres, who are making some changes. They've pushed a couple of veterans, Derek Norris and Alexei Ramirez, into the background after trading away a lot of their veterans.
It always seems that the Padres are in transition.
Well,
Changing gears.
2 winters ago, they went for it. Spent a lot of money, brought in a lot of veteran players.
Didn't work.
And now they've gone decidedly in the other direction. Broken back grounder. Reyes right in front of it. Goes on Bethancourt, 1 away.
Well, Jose still has that strong arm. Loves to throw.
Let me ask you a question. I haven't really thought about this much. You know, Asdrubal Cabrera has done a wonderful job for the Mets at shortstop this year. When he comes back, would you think about moving Cabrera to third and leaving Reyes at short?
I would. Cabrera has played third base. I would, absolutely. I think Jose can still pick it out there. The thing is, Jose played a nice third base too.
Yes.
I do think that Jose would have a better range than Asdrubal. And Asdrubal has played a wonderful shortstop.
It's a tough call, right? Because they're both capable at both positions, and I don't know which combination makes you a stronger team.
But the fact that Cabrera has had the more experience at third base might be the easier transition. Then a strikeout.
Nick Noonan goes down on 3 pitches. That's 5 strikeouts through the first 8 batters for Jacob deGrom.
This is going to be a double-digit fastball. Got some plate. He just threw it by him. So many hitters drop that back shoulder and swing right through that fastball above the belt.
Well, deGrom has been on his game the last couple of months. And off to a fast start tonight. Now he faces the opposing pitcher, Jared Cosart. He goes after the high fastball. Cosart, lifetime 133 hitter.
So we're going to have an interesting road trip, Gary, as far as the weather's concerned.
Well, we'll certainly hit a couple of extremes in the first 2 stops.
Be 107 in Phoenix, around there, 105. Then we go to San Francisco. It's going to be in the 50s. And you know St. Louis is going to be hot.
Cosart strikes out on 3 pitches. Or did he get a piece? He did get a piece to keep the at-bat alive, and it caught Travis d'Arnaud. Tells his pitcher he's okay, but deGrom not buying it, at least for the moment.
Well, it's tough back there. Oh, that's inner thigh, and that hurts. That's a very sensitive. It hurts in there. Trust me.
And there's no protection there.
It's not a good spot to be hit.
Curveball hit toward the hole. Reyes on the backhand, a tough angle throw, and he gets it right on target to end the inning. That's beautifully done by Reyes.
Impressive.
That's not an easy play at all, and he made it look routine.
With mustard.
with the MLB.com at Bat app, which includes game day, live game video highlights, Statcast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Hot night in the big city.
Be hot tomorrow, too. Be a disco inferno, Gare.
Tramps. Derek Cozart late getting back to the mound after making the last out in the top of the inning. He'll face the top of the Mets batting order in the home third. High speed pitch brought to you by Ford. Jacob deGrom has topped out at 97 miles an hour. 5 strikeouts through the first 3 innings for Jake, who has yet to allow a hit. Jose Reyes got the Mets off to the fast start. A walk, a wild pitch, an error, and a base hit brought him around in the first inning. It'll be Reyes, Granderson, and Walker against Cozart in the third. You can't see it with his helmet on, but Jose has gone to the dyed red hair look.
The rusty red. Not rusty stop. Kind of like a rust color red. Or is it orange? Scare.
It's more closer to brick than orange.
Yeah, that's a good point, yes.
Well, if the helmet flies off at any point, perhaps we'll get a look.
And folks, all we care about on this end is if it's got hits in it, keep it.
Well, walks are okay too. That one hits him right in the ear.
Ooh.
Or the mouth.
Oh, no.
It hit the ground and came up and hit him right in the face. And Ray Ramirez comes jogging out. The Mets head athletics trainer to see if Reyes is okay.
Oh, it kind of got his shoulder first. More in the eye, Gare, huh? Glancing at cheek.
It looked like it hit the bottom brim of the helmet on its way up.
He hits the shoulder a little bit. Oh, it got him in the cheekbone pretty good.
Yeah.
Got him pretty good.
He's okay. But it didn't knock his helmet off. If he wants to show that here, he might have to take lessons from Bartolo on how to lose your helmet. Solarte on the grass at third. 1-1 to Reyes, leading off in the home third. And he checks his swing and stopped it in time. 2-1. Paul Emmel, the third base umpire.
Paul Emmel called a nice game behind the plate last night. Was a pitcher's umpire. Consistent.
Tonight, Mike Estabrook is calling the balls and strikes. The crew chief Greg Gibson at first, Carlos Torres and Emmel rounding out the crew.
And here we go again, second time through the order, and Cozart is just pitching behind in the count.
6-3 ball counts through the first 10 batters. And Reyes hits one in the air to right center. And Blash and Jankowski, and Blash takes charge of it. 1 out.
Blash has a nice physique for an outfielder. Tall, slender, long-legged.
Now Curtis Granderson, who struck out his first time up. Curtis is just 2 for 16 on this homestand. Playing left field again tonight, a position that he has not played a whole lot of in recent years. Granderson moved down to the 2 spot of the batting order with the return of Reyes tonight.
Well, and it's just been a year where, after having such a good year last year.
Drives one out to left, but right at Dickerson. And that's the second out.
What's he got going on now? He's got to be mired in the slump, Gary. I mean, he hasn't gotten a lot of hits, Curtis, of late.
2 for 17 on the homestand.
Right.
Well, it's really been the whole season. I mean, he's hit home runs. He's hit 18 home runs, but he hasn't driven in runs. He hasn't walked nearly as much as he did last year.
Well, since last 20 games hitting 182, Gary. There you go, 14 for 77. So that is a slump.
Here's Walker, who drove in the only run of the game with an opposite field single in the first. And he goes around in the half swing. He didn't think so.
Well, I tell you what, I would have had a major issue with the check swings in today's game. I would have had an issue. That's not a swing. What is the standard fine today? Do you know? It used to be $100 for us. We got thrown out of the game. $100. Is it higher now because they make more money? I don't know.
Have to investigate.
If I was making 15 mil a year, $100, I'd be thrown out all the time.
Yeah, but don't you want to stay in the game and play the rest of the game?
Pick my spots. Just blowout games. Get out early. I'm only kidding.
What a team guy you are.
I would have had to come to terms with how the calls are almost automatic on check swings in today's game, and I got to believe the umpires are directed to do this because it's just too much. It's almost automatic.
Into the shift, the second baseman Schimpf throws out Walker, and Cosart has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. After 3 at Citi Field, 1-0 New York. Lower Manhattan as we go to the 4th inning. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Jacob deGrom walked the first man he faced tonight, got a double play on the next pitch, and has not allowed another base runner. Travis Jankowski, who drew that walk, leads off against him in the 4th inning. Against Jankowski's speed, Flores close in at 3rd. And the first pitch curveball misses down for ball 1. Just the 44th game that Jankowski has started. He was with the Padres earlier this year, but mostly as a defensive replacement, pinch runner type. But he's taken over the starting job in center field since the Padres traded away Melvin Upton Jr. to the Blue Jays. And he has done a terrific job at the top of the batting order, hitting .415 over the last 11 games. Slashes one foul, 1-2. Jacob deGrom, 5 strikeouts first time through the batting order. Gronkowski, who grew up in Pennsylvania, came to Long Island to play college ball at Stony Brook. Part of that College World Series team for the Seawolves in 2012. And the curveball lined the other way. On comes Granderson to slide and corral it for the out. I'm not sure if he caught that with his glove or his bare hand.
I hear you. He could have backhanded it, decided to do the shovel catch. No, got the heel of his glove and used 2 hands. Well done, Curtis. 2 hands on that one.
And he needed them both.
This might be one of those games, Gare, with this lineup right here, this young lineup, that a play like that, you know, and everybody says in a no-hitter, there's always a couple balls hit where there's a good play in the field that saves it. We'll see. I just have a good feeling about DeGrom even coming into this game before he threw a pitch.
Will Myers grounded into a double play his first time. And takes a slider on the corner for a strike. 0-2.
Ooh.
Strike 3 call. Got him with a fastball.
That is a strike.
6 strikeouts for DeGrom, who's now retired 10 in a row.
And that is something that we're seeing. At least I'm recognizing this, and I think Ronnie and you have mentioned. It's got the corner. They're calling more the high strike this year. And this is a strike. It's letters. That's a strike. It's also a good pitch to hit.
Well, I think that's the point. If they call that pitch more, it induces hitters to swing at it more. It makes it a better game. Solarte yanks one foul.
I mean, it used to be a pitcher put one upstairs on you, and the letters, that was the pitch to hit. It was a mistake. You jumped on it.
So many more low ball hitters
Yeah,
in the game.
they're all low ball hitters.
Solarte struck out his first time up. And he gets jammed and fouls it off, and quickly DeGrom ahead 0-2.
That ball hit next to a young lady that was texting around 2 seats to her right. She had no idea that to this day that the ball hit 2 seats to her right. Jeez.
0-2 to Solarte. And he popped it up.
There you go.
Easy for Flores. Side retired. 11 in a row retired by Jacob DeGrom. He's rolling early. Jay Bruce trying to get on a roll. The new Met in his second week in the Mets uniform. Trying to get the Mets started in the bottom of the 4th with the Mets up 1-0. schedule brought to you by the Kia Top Quality Sales Event. One more game to go on the homestand tomorrow afternoon. Then the Mets embark on a 10-game road trip starting Monday night in Phoenix, 3 in Arizona, 4 in San Francisco, and 3 in St. Louis.
That's going to be
the upcoming trip.
That's a tough trip for the Mets. The one good thing, Arizona's got a decent team. They got a good hitting lineup, but they're playing terrible at home.
Jay Bruce leads off for the Mets in the home fourth. Facing the full shift. He takes up and away from Cozart for ball one. Bruce dribbled one in front of the plate, and Bethancourt, the catcher, threw him out his first time up. Jay now 7 for 40 in a Mets uniform. And he rockets one to center, but right at Jankowski. Barely had to move for the first out. Now James Loney, who like Bruce had one just inches from home plate, was thrown out his first time. Loney has hit a skid, just one hit in his last 18 at bats after swinging the bat so consistently for his first couple of months as a Met. James Loney first came up with the Dodgers, looked like he was going to be the total package. In his first significant stint in the big leagues, hit 15 home runs in 90 games for the Dodgers, but that was the most he ever hit in a big league season. But he's been a lifetime .285 hitter.
You remember the 2 first basemen that came up for the Dodgers back in the late 80s, which were Greg Brock, the left-hand hitter, and Franklin Stubbs. They had high hopes for them, and they never really panned out. Both big pull-hitting left-handers with power.
Loney hits one well to center field, chasing Jankowski back, but he'll get there. And it's a long second out. Well, Loney came up right around the same time as Matt Kemp, and there was a real question as who was going to be the bigger star. But Kemp very quickly eclipsed Loney.
Well, Kemp was a physical specimen that could fly too, but then Kemp just couldn't stay on the field. Injuries.
There's Wilmer Flores, who had a base hit his first time up. So the Mets have been able to Cozart to settle in and retire 6 in a row. Cozart got off to a very shaky start tonight, walked his first batter, threw a wild pitch, gave up a first inning run. But now here he is in the 4th inning. It's still a 1-0 game.
I love these people that sit behind home plate with their cell phones on there and they're waving. Yeah, here I am. I'm right behind home plate.
People like being on TV. Don't you like being on TV?
It's almost like, you know, it's like, Your Honor, I wasn't there. I was at the ball game. There's tape. Prove it.
So everybody's looking for an alibi.
Oh boy, it is hot, Gary.
It's nice. It's summertime.
I like sweating.
Flores takes the curveball down, and Cozart's behind 3-1. And talking to himself.
You can see the sweat pouring off of him. Oh, look at that. Yep, everybody's trying to stay cool.
Two out and nobody on. 3-1 to Flores, and Wilmer takes one the other way off the glove of Myers. Race to the bag, but Flores beats it. He broke his bat. Myers couldn't come up with it cleanly, and Flores winds up on first base.
Broken bat off the end of the bat. Myers kind of clubs it. Wilmer beats it out.
Now, how would you score that?
I scored a base hit.
Well, they just scored it an error.
Okay. What would you score?
Well, the ball came up a little bit on him. I don't know. I'm 50-50.
It can go either way. I'm
Yeah.
not going to, make a scene on that.
Okay.
Unless it's my hit.
I was just asking, well, what about if you were the first baseman?
Well, errors happen.
Would you think it was an error on you?
You know what? I didn't mind taking an error because then it's an unearned run if it scores and the pitcher's not hurt. He goes to salary drive. negotiation.
Well, what if it costs you?
You know,
what if it costs you?
It would never cost me a gold glove. Are you kidding? Come on.
Reputation is all.
Of course, you know I would have picked that ball.
As long as your defensive runs saved and your ultimate zone rating were good. Here's De Aza, who went into a double play his first time up. I wonder how the metrics would have treated you as a defensive first baseman.
You know, I always my father always told me when I was a kid that putouts meant nothing to him as far as first basemen are concerned, because you're getting all the throws. He goes, you look for assists because you're starting a double play, getting a lead runner.
But I think that the newer metrics would have been very kind to you because of your range. I think you got to a lot of balls that other first basemen didn't get to.
Okay, that's true.
And also because of your arm.
But I also played a deep first base too, so you know that increased my range. And my fielders, we worked together. They knew a lot of times they threw when I was like 2 feet from the bag, and we worked on that, and they didn't have any issue with it. The only guy I had to play worried about it was Hojo in the beginning when he was scatter arm.
We needed a good target.
Right.
De Aza chases the curveball. Bethancourt makes the toss, and that retires the side. Second strikeout of the night for Cozart. He works around the air. We're through 4 at Citi Field with the Mets up 1-0. The Mets working with a 1-0 lead. Let's check in with Doug Williams. Doug?
Gary, I'm here with Matt Senk, who's the head coach at Stony Brook. Coach, you've been there for 25 years, so I'm going to ask you to brag a little bit about your program. How far have you seen it come during your time?
Well, you know, at Stony Brook, what we like to say is we've come very far, very fast, and I think the baseball team and our program really epitomizes that. And you know, way back when we were Division III, we went from 3 to 2 to 1, and only 12 years after going Division I. Had a great team that went to the World Series, and couldn't be prouder of our university and our program.
And part of that team in 2012 was Travis Jankowski, obviously the reason you're here watching him. How impressive has it been to watch him throughout his baseball career? Yeah,
you know, he was a huge part of that World Series team, and you know, when he got drafted in the first round, that happened during the regional against Miami after just beating them, and then he went on to professional baseball, and he's just continued to improve and you know, is fastly becoming a star, just like he was a star at Stony Brook.
And being a head coach in the Northeast, I'm guessing can't be easy. You got to find ways to practice and play year round. How big of a part of your role is that?
Yeah, you know, again, I think you know, the university is a big part of that. Our facilities are excellent, and they're only going to get better with us planning on getting a brand new indoor practice facility for all our teams. Yeah, you got to be imaginative. You got to think out of the box as far as getting your teams ready to play. But the guys are extremely coachable, and they just want to get better, and together we figure it out.
And Joe Nathan, a guy who's got so many connections to Stony Brook, where you play, named after him, of course, and he recently was on the Cubs roster. How impressed have you been throughout his career, the fact that he's, after so many major surgeries at the age of 41, still trying to pitch in the big leagues? How big of a part of your program is Joe Nathan?
Joe is, you know, it's tough to actually put into words how big Joe is for our program. You know, the obvious is his lead gift that led to the field that's named after him, but he's a great role model for any baseball player, especially our players. You know, he went through 3 major surgeries, and he's come back at 41 to get into the big leagues again, and our guys look up to him, deservedly so, and another guy in our program to be extremely proud of.
Any guys in your program now, or guys that are in rookie ball, A ball, that we should look out for?
Yeah, well, you know, Tom Kohler is doing an unbelievable job with the Marlins. He's in the big leagues, and Nick Tropiano was with the Angels, and unfortunately had an injury, but was pitching great. We got 7 other guys that are playing from rookie ball right up to AAA, and they're doing a tremendous job, and just you know, being so successful in the game. But we also have so many guys outside the game that I'm just as proud of the success that they have.
Coach Sank, we really appreciate the time.
Thank you for that.
Gary, back to you.
All right, Ryan Schimpf gets the first San Diego hit of the night, just past the diving reach of Neil Walker.
Well, there goes the no-no. I had a shot. Thought he had a shot. This was a changeup, Gary, I believe. Like, let go with one hand. Good hitting. Schimpf has impressed me. Here's a change. Good balance. Look at that front foot in the lower left of your screen. Excellent balance.
Jabari Blash with a runner aboard. Blash struck out his first time up. So DeGrom gives up his first hit, and maybe the most remarkable thing about it was that Ryan Schimpf got a single.
Yes.
His 32nd hit in the major leagues. 24 of the first 31 were for extra bases. 10 doubles, 2 triples, 12 home runs. We checked with Elias. No other player who's debuted since 1900 has had at least 24 extra base hits among his first 31 major league hits. So Ryan Schimpf is doing something nobody's ever done before in terms of his extra base proclivity early in his career. I mean, he came into the series hitting just .210.
Yes.
But slugging over 500. So it gives you an idea where he's at as a hitter. A little guy who gets a lot of power in his swing. Flash, on the other hand, a very big guy. Native of the Virgin Islands. Waiting on a 1-1 from DeGrom, and time asked for. DeGrom had retired 12 in a row before the Schimpf base hit.
Umpires always, it's a little tough for them to make a foul call where he's positioned. He's got to be close to that line, but he's got to be in a position to make a call on a pickoff attempt.
Double play ball right at Reyes. A turn by Walker, easier than the last one. And the second double play of the night turned by the Mets infield. 6-4-3 to get DeGrom through the top of the 5th. Halfway through, 1-0 New York. Off the bottom of the fifth, and the Mets leading 1-0.
We showed d'Arnaud's change of stance earlier. 2014 on the left, more open, hands higher on the right, present. We're going to roll the slow-mo on the swing. Now, what I want you to watch on the right is the bat's got to come around. Now, look at how he follows through. He's almost like a tree, timber, and that's not great balance. See how more upright he was in his follow-through on the left. I prefer the 2014, but like I said, whatever feels best for Travis. He's the one in the box swinging.
Here's the part that I'm trying to understand, and I don't know that even Travis can answer this. You look at that swing from 2 years ago, and he didn't do that bad.
Where'd it come from?
How does that start?
I don't know. I do not know where it came from. Why would he make that's a radical change, Gary. That's just not a subtle adjustment. That is a radical change, not in your swing, in your stance. Think about it.
It's almost like a pitcher, you know, windmilling his arms to try and get more power. That's the way it seems.
You can see how far the bat's pointing. Now, we've talked about this, and Kevin Long addressed it in the paper today, and I agree with what Kevin said. If he's going to hold his bat that way, then go ahead. It's better if he were to start it, and I'm going to telestrate here, then the bat would have to come all the way forward and then around. So that's more movement. Right. So Kevin's saying, basically, if the bat's pointing towards the pitcher, and that's what he's going to do, then we're going to leave it there, because I don't want him starting behind his back shoulder and then coming forward and coming around.
So
and I agree with it.
So you make it one move instead of two.
Exactly, and less movement. Think of all the timing of it, too. Where he got this, I don't know, but it came from somewhere, and it's what he wants to go with. That's fine and dandy.
Do you think that that comes from thinking about hitting home runs? Do you think
that's
part of it?
Gary, I don't know, but he's just swinging so hard now. You know, he was so controlled when he came up, and I really felt that he had a chance to be a good gap-to-gap hitter. You throw him a bad breaking ball, he can wrap it around a foul pole, hit you 15 home runs, but be a guy that would hit for average and use both gaps. But he's turned basically now into a big full swinger and pull hitter.
He's had a good series so far, 4 for 5, including a home run. And he checks his swing, stopped it in time, and he's on base with a walk. Second walk given up by Cozart. They've both come leading off innings. The first one came around to score.
Now, see, I don't think he swung either right there. That was a good, kept his hands, wrist back, didn't break his wrist.
So we'll see if DeGrom is asked to bunt. Jacob grounded out his first time up. He has 5 hits and 5 sacrifices this year. Solarte in at third, looking for the bunt, and DeGrom gives himself up. That's a fair ball. Bethancourt with time to go to second. They get the out there, but not at first. So DeGrom didn't get it far enough away from home plate, and they get the 2-6 force play.
DeGrom, one of the better bunters of the pitchers, the starting pitchers, and he's mad at himself. He's pitching a 1-0 ball game. We're in the middle of the game here. Bottom of the 5th. Didn't get it done. He's mad. A lot of grub worms. Another one that's like killed another worm. Your red pin finally bit the dust, Gare.
I've been nursing it the last few days. Just ran out of ink.
It's like your lollipops. Well, not your lollipops, your Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Pops.
Here's Reyes with 1 out and 1 arm. I was thinking that the pen, which looked like it was going to only last 1 day, might last for 8. But it only lasted for 4, so it's only half American.
I don't. Well, that's right. 4th day.
Reyes has walked and flied out 0 for 1. Scored the only run of this game back in the first.
Look at the stuff that kicks up there. Now they wet home plate. Oh, the ball's all, yeah, the ball came down. It gets a little dirt on it.
That's a lot of dirt.
You gotta get the bleach out, a little Clorox, throw it in the washing machine.
Truly muddy baseball.
You can't throw the baseball in the dryer though. You gotta hang dry it.
Now they do put the special mud on the balls.
Yes.
Before the game to take the shine off, but I think that's a little excessive.
And the way they get rid of baseballs now, there's got to be a whole lot more of that mud going around, because they used to keep the balls before, most of them. But now a ball hits the dirt, it's gone.
It's pulled foul. I've heard some pitchers complain that they don't rub up the balls as well as they used to.
I don't think the home plate umpires do it anymore.
Usually the attendant and the
yeah,
umpire.
so that's changed.
So, you
now
know,
that would be a boring chore.
well, some of the pitchers say because they don't use enough mud, sometimes the ball is a little slippery.
Well, they'll file a grievance.
Little dribbler. Off the mound comes Cozart, and he shovels it along to Myers to get the out on Reyes as DeGrom takes second. So a runner in scoring position with 2 out for Curtis Granderson. I get the impression that you don't really sympathize very much with any concern that pitchers might have.
Well, my pitchers, I'm very concerned. My teammates, I want them happy. They're a tough bunch, you know. They can be a little cranky, temperamental. They have their moments.
DeGrom, who runs well, is on second with 2 out. Granderson hitting just 133 with runners in scoring position this year. Looking to get him home with 2 outs.
And that's borderline call.
With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, even worse for Curtis.
It's been a tough year.
He has 18 home runs and 31 RBIs in the middle of August. That's almost incomprehensible, no matter where in the batting order you're hitting.
And don't think it's not he's not aware of it and doesn't wear on him.
Cozart quickly ahead of him, 0-2.
Because Curtis looks very uncomfortable up there, and when you're in a slump, I can tell you, you feel very uncomfortable up there.
Plays off the curveball, 1-2. When you say he doesn't look comfortable, what do you see that tells you that?
I'm strictly visual. He looks uncomfortable. I guarantee you he feels uncomfortable. When I was in a slump, I felt uncomfortable.
Well, what is it that you see that makes you think
your rhythm's off? You feel like a rusty gate. You feel like Curtis is an entirely different swinger than myself. I was more rhythmic, but it just feels like everything is out of sync, Gary, and you know it's hard to explain.
Well, chopper past the mound, charging to Schimpf. The crossbody throw in time to get Granderson to retire the side. Nice play by Schimpf, and allows Cozart to work around the leadoff walk. Had to hurry. He did, and got him by half a stride. After 5, still 1-0 New York. about Land Rover above and beyond. Only one skinny single for the Padres so far tonight. That was Ryan Schimpf with 1 out in the 5th inning. He was erased on a double play, as was Travis Jankowski, who walked in the 1st. Those have been the only 2 base runners against Jacob deGrom, who thus has faced the minimum 15 batters through 5 innings. And he'll take on the lower third of the San Diego order in the 6th. Here's a quirk. Last night, the Padres scored 8 runs. They never left a runner on base the entire night. Set a record for the most runs the Padres have ever scored in a game without leaving a runner on base. And for the first 5 innings tonight, they still haven't left a runner on base.
You're right. They've had 2 men on base that were erased by double plays.
So 14 innings in this series, nobody left on base. It's rather remarkable. Christian Bethancourt grounded out to short his first time up. And he breaks his bat as he flares one behind second, and Walker's right there to grab it. 1 pitch and 1 out. Well, Nick Noonan comes up. It's been remarkable watching deGrom through this wonderful stretch that he's in, and especially to contrast it with what we've been seeing recently with Noah Syndergaard, who's having such trouble getting quick outs and working so many deep counts and so many foul balls. Here's deGrom. He's gotten the first 16 outs, throwing only 61 pitches.
Well, what I learned from the master, Rusty Staub, is you look at the glove there of deGrom that covers that index finger, that little where he puts his finger in there. So many pitchers would give away a breaking ball where they would stick out that index finger and it would point out on a breaking ball or tip off a pitch. And so someone devised that very practical, what would you call that?
A sheath. It's a sheath.
Yeah, so you can't pop that finger up and give away your pitches. It's just a brilliant idea. It's been around forever, but I always find it interesting.
1-2 to Nick Noonan, and he strikes him out with a fastball. 7 strikeouts for deGrom. Second time he's gotten Noonan. Well, here are 2 pitches by Jacob deGrom. One is a fastball, one's a changeup. See if you can tell the difference. There's the first one. And there's the second one.
So the key to pitching, the reason why we showed you that, is that you don't tip off your pitches by slowing down your arm motion, or you throw your fastball at 3/4 or over the top and then you drop down on your breaking ball, a different point of release. Arm speed is critical, and your body speed. It's got to be the same. You can't give it away.
Now, we just showed those 2 pitches, fastball and changeup. The first one was a changeup. The second one was a fastball.
Correct.
You could see a little bit of difference in the arm.
Slight, but it's Gary. You're talking about microseconds here. You know, it's hard to discern.
0-2 to Cozart, and he struck him out. Side retired. 8 strikeouts through 6 brilliant innings for Jacob deGrom. Still 1-0 New York.
Mets offense that's been decimated and struggling. Neil Walker has been the bright light. Hottest hitter in the lineup by far. He's driven in the only run for the Mets tonight. And Neil Walker will get a turn it back to lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th inning. Walker, Bruce, and Loney 3, 4, and 5 in the order against Jarred Cosart, who settled in nicely after giving up a first inning run and looking quite vulnerable, working behind in the count often. He's allowed just 3 hits tonight. And to prove it, we'll show you the Land Rover Mets box score, brought to you by Land Rover above and beyond. Walker had the RBI single in the first. Wilmer Flores and Travis d'Arnaud each singled in the second, but that's been it against Cosart, who's walked 2 and struck out 2. Meanwhile, Jacob deGrom has been nothing short of fantastic through his 6 innings of work. He's thrown only 68 pitches, and he has struck out 8. That's a rough combination to have that few pitches through 6 innings and that many strikeouts, but it shows you how efficient Jake has been tonight. Mets have all of their late inning relievers available. The long guys did a great job last night, retiring 19 in a row in relief, but Addison Reed and Jeurys Familia both well rested tonight. deGrom looking like he might not have any use for them. Here's Neil Walker leading off in the home 6th, and he takes a changeup for a strike. Walker had an opposite field single to drive in Jose Reyes with the game's only run in the 1st inning, and so far deGrom has made that run stand up. Walker grounded out in the 3rd. Full shift on against him this time. And Neil takes a strike on the outside, 0-2. You know, it's interesting, that first at bat when he batted with a runner at 3rd, they played him straight up, but since then they've gone back to the full shift.
Nobody on base. Got the base hit to left field.
Wouldn't that make you more inclined to play him straight up again? Nope. Had him played perfectly.
Yes, they did.
Solarte, the 3rd baseman, playing on the right side, and Myers stayed on the bag for the 1st out. That's a 5-3 putout somehow.
Be at Citi Field Saturday, August 27th. The Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Matt Harvey bobblehead, courtesy of Delta Airlines. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Now, I'm sure they ordered the bobblehead before Matt had the surgery.
Yes.
So I think it probably has all its ribs. It's Jay Bruce.
He hits one to the left side. Noonan has it go off his foot and into the outfield.
Flank.
Now Noonan alone on the left side of the infield. Looked like he had the play on Bruce, just couldn't secure the backhand, and it went right off his shoe.
That's probably a play that Noonan makes 99 out of 100 times. It was over. He just had time to think, and he thought himself into a E6. He just botched it.
3rd error of the night for the Padres. Cosart not very happy about it.
Oh.
So we'll see if the Mets can cash it in. James Loney, who's 0 for 2 tonight. The reason I mentioned the ribs, of course, is because Matt had the thoracic outlet surgery, which involved the removal of the top rib on the right side.
Sounds awful.
Down to first. Myers to second for 1. Noonan back to first in time for the 3-6-3 double play, and that erases the error before you can say boo.
2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
It's faster to say boo
After
1-0 lead. Jacob deGrom will face the top of the batting order in the 7th, and we check in with Doug Williams. Doug?
Yeah, Gary, James Loney technically playing against his former team in this series. The Mets acquired him, you'll remember, when he was in the AAA team in the Padres organization. And actually, it's interesting, I asked him before the game, you're so used to players saying there's extra motivation when you're playing your former team. You want to show them that they made a mistake. But interestingly enough, even though he knew he was a big league quality first baseman in AAA, he never wanted the first base job with the Padres necessarily. I talked to him and he said, by the time I signed there, which was after spring training, Wil Myers, the job was already his. I was focused on every other first base job around the big leagues other than the one in San Diego. He really wanted to use AAA as a launching pad to get a job elsewhere, and looks where he ended up.
Worked out just fine for Loney, who was let go by Tampa Bay in spring before he signed with San Diego. Of course, he played for the Rays last year. The way things have gone for the Tampa Bay offense this year, they probably wish they had kept Loney around.
Boy, it's been a terrible year for them.
22 games under 500, Tampa Bay.
It's got to be a ghost town down there at that ballpark.
Already was. Jankowski slashes one foul, and it's 2-2. Travis Jankowski has walked and lined out to left, facing Jacob deGrom, who has faced the minimum through the first 6 innings. 18 batters faced. He's given up a walk and a single. They've both been erased on double plays. Walk went to Jankowski, leading off the game. Hasn't come close to walking anybody since. 2-2 on the way, and Jankowski bounces one for Walker. 1 out. Now the aforementioned Wil Myers, who had been an outfielder before this season but made the transition to first base, which necessitated James Loney thinking elsewhere.
Here is deGrom again pitching in a tight ball game. No margin for error.
No, remember, in his last start in Detroit, he had a 1-0 lead going to the 7th. Got into a little trouble in that inning with a single and a walk, but looked like he was going to get out of it. But an infield hit by Romine loaded the bases, and then he left, and Blevins came in, gave up an infield hit to Kinsler that accounted for the only run that deGrom was charged with and cost him a chance for a win. Start before that, he was brilliant against the Yankees for 7 innings. And here he is again with a shutout working into the 7th. Jacob had thrown 20 straight scoreless innings before that scratch run in Detroit that last start. Now he started another string tonight. Remember, he threw a 1-hit shutout against the Phillies just 4 weeks ago. Two and one to Myers with Solarte on deck. And that's away, and for a rare time tonight, deGrom finds himself behind in the count. They're your ERA leaders in the National League. Kershaw still has enough innings to qualify, but a week from now he won't. So everybody else is going to move up a step. Three and one to Myers, and he swings through the fastball. 3-2. Ramos struck out 8 tonight. 9. 2 men down.
That's the second called third strike for Myers, and a couple borderline pitches in the back in the 4th inning. And he's got it great. A little outside, give me a little bit of that outside corner.
Mike Estabrook, the home plate umpire, calling it a bit off the plate for deGrom. His 9th strikeout of the night. Hang those combs. Just 1 strikeout shy of a season high. Here's Solarte, who struck out and popped up, and he takes all the way a fastball for a strike. No moving away
And Solarte drills one deep down the right field line toward the stands. It's out of here. Yangervis Solarte ties the game with a line drive home run, his 12th of the year. And the Padres get even at 1-1.
Well, I did say when this inning started, and here he is pitching in another tight game where he can't make a mistake.
Well, he was trying to get it away, didn't get it away, and Solarte tags it.
Number 12. Change up. Oh boy, you don't want to get it in the middle. Middle in. Stayed back. Let go with one hand.
Now Alex Dickerson. And that sails to the backstop.
Line drive, no doubt.
Just the 11th home run DeGrom has allowed in 21 starts this year. But it's a damaging one, just the second hit of the night for San Diego. Padres in this series have only 8 hits, and 5 of them have been home runs.
You see, if you get it away, he gets it towards the end of the bat. If you miss middle in and the hitter stays back like that, it's a nice pitch to hit.
Change up for a strike. 2-1 to Dickerson, who has struck out and flied out tonight. Dickerson batting cleanup. And he takes it high, 3-1. Dickerson homered in 4 straight games last month. First Padre rookie ever to do that. It's very odd to see a power hitter wearing number 1. Number 1's a little guy's number.
Billy Martin. When he played, right, with the Yankees, he was number 1.
Hit sharply, base hit for Dickerson.
Another changeup.
So 2 straight 2-out hits for the Padres.
So that changeup, he's leaving, getting in the middle. Here comes Dan Warthen. So it tells me that you've got to start popping inside. There's the 3 fingers you can see, and see too much plate again. Off the end of the bat, and it's a little up. So they want to dive. Let them know about that inside corner.
Well, with the go-ahead run at first and 2 out, DeGrom's going to take on the dangerous Ryan Schimpf, who hit 2 home runs last night, a grand slam and a 2-run shot. 12 major league home runs and just 144 major league at bats. So after DeGrom handily retired the first 2 hitters in the inning, Solarte takes him deep. Dickerson follows with a base hit, and now it's Schimpf. First bump in the road tonight for Jake. And Schimpf takes it low, ball 1. The Padre bullpen gets busy. Jose Dominguez is up.
Changeup is still at a very, very good pitch. It's not something to discard right now. You made 2 mistakes with it. Just focus on getting it sinking and get it away from those left-hand hitters. So we're going to show you the home run again and changeup. It's a sinking change. Look at the target outside corner and low. Now watch the glove. He has to come up. It's right in the middle. It's down. But if he gets it on that corner out here, it's the end of the bat. That's the difference, Gary.
One and 1 to Schimpf. And he swings through the fastball, 1-2.
That's the pitch I like. That sets up the changeup, the fastball. Don't get away from that. He's throwing hard.
Started him off with a couple of sliders, came up and in with the fastball. Now he's got Schimpf down on the count, 1-2. Dickerson at first and 2 out. And time called just as DeGrom was about to come out of the stretch and just as Dickerson was taking off from first base.
all the problems the Mets have had with the running game. DeGrom is not part of that. He's given up only 3 steals all year. Ryan Schimpf spent 8 years in the minor leagues, getting a chance to play now and taking full advantage of it. Drafted by Toronto in the 5th round back in 2009. Signed as a free agent by the Padres last winter. National League Rookie of the Month for July, and off to a pretty good August as well. And that's what DeGrom has to negotiate here in the 7th. One-two coming. And he misses with a fastball. 2-2. Two and two to Schimpf. And he fouls off the fastball.
Making them work here.
Well, you're throwing just 68 pitches through 6 innings, but 23 pitches already here in the 7th. Two coming. It's too high. Full count. Jabari Blash would be next. Loney's going to signal over to DeGrom, tell him he's going to play behind the runner with 3 and 2 and 2 out. Give him some fielding depth against the left-hand hitter. As Dickerson gets set to take off. Now the 3-2. Pulled down to first. Loney with a nice stop. Side retired. James Loney with the quick hands going to his right. Saves further trouble for DeGrom after Yangervis Solarte gets the Padres even. Solarte with his 12th home run of the year. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. Mets and Padres tied at 1. Line score brought to you by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Mets scratched out a run in the first inning. Jacob deGrom made it stand up till the 7th. Yangervis Solarte tied it with a home run. Now the Padres will go to their bullpen and bring in right-hander Jose Dominguez.
Well, you can see only 15 games this year and 15 2/3, so he's pretty much a one-inning guy. Hard thrower, hard slider, doesn't walk anybody, at least thus far, what little we see of him.
Dominguez, 26 years old, had previous big league time with the Dodgers and the Rays, but only cups of coffee the last 3 years, and now getting a chance in the Padre bullpen. That's trying to get another lead for deGrom as they come to bat against Dominguez in the 7th. Jared Cozart taken off the hook. He went 6, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 89 pitches. Wilmer Flores leads off in the home 7th and takes a strike. Flores didn't think so and talks about it with Mike Estabrook.
Well, there you go.
Jake is used to not getting much run support. Really an issue up and down this Mets staff. Mets are next to last in the National League in runs scored. Ground ball toward the middle of the diamond. Noonan flashing over. The quick throw to first. Not in time. Flores with just enough speed to beat it out.
Well, this is the second hit for Flores, a broken bat hit. And for Wilmer to beat it out, it has to be well placed. Good hustle down that line. Boy, you just want to get Jacob a run here if you're on the offense. It's just, come on, guys. Let's get him a W.
Now the question is, how do you play this inning? You probably don't want to bat for deGrom, but you might have to if you want to bunt here with De Aza.
If you have runners in scoring position, you're going to have to, I think, pinch hit.
Well, Addison Reed is getting up, so he'll be ready if Terry wants to use a pinch hitter. And De Aza not bunting on the first pitch, takes the fastball low.
Well, De Aza's been swinging a hot bat.
He did hit into a double play earlier in this game. That was back in the 2nd. There's Reed in the bullpen. He's fresh. So is Familia for the game tonight. That's bullpen was brilliant last night with Lugo, Goodell, and Robles combining to retire 19 Padres in a row. And now Dominguez falls behind on De Aza 2-0.
This is a beautiful thing right here. And you have a guy, De Aza should be a guy that could hit and run. I know it's not part of the game anymore, but look at the defense on the left side of the infield. Third baseman Solarte in. Look at the shortstop up the middle. I mean, just a little slap into left field. Runner in motion. Set up a first and third, and you're ready to roll. But not a lot of guys know how to hit and run anymore.
De Aza does choke up on the bat.
So what's this one?
That's inside 3-0.
Well, you got to take now.
You got d'Arnaud on deck. deGrom behind him. Solarte is going to come in from third base and try and be of some counsel to Dominguez.
What this does now, Gary, is you take right here with De Aza. If it gets to 3-1 now, it allows you to send Flores and stay out of a double play. If it's a 3-1 pitch, De Aza's been swinging a good bat. You got to put the ball in play. And you don't give up anything. It's a good pitch to hit. Even though Flores doesn't run well, it's going to keep you out of a double play. I'm tired of seeing all this one base at a time.
Here's ball 4, and the Mets have the first 2 men on. So after the infield single, Dominguez walks De Aza on 4 pitches. And now Travis d'Arnaud comes up with 2 men aboard.
Would you bunt now, Gary?
No. He tried the other day, and he looked
popped
terrible.
Up.
I mean, and he's had a good series so far. He's 4 for 5 and a walk. Padres are talking it over to set up their defense.
And they don't know what to do here. So
Solarte giving signals to the infield. They're going to look for the bunt.
Solarte is the guy to watch. And they're going to play for the bunt. Look at the first baseman Myers, plural, excuse me, coming in.
Kelly Johnson will come out on deck to bat for deGrom, but if the Mets get the lead, they don't have to hit for deGrom. They can leave him in. We'll see how that goes. It's on the shoulders of d'Arnaud, who has a single and a walk tonight. So they're playing for the bunt, and he does square and bunts it foul. Well,
I don't mind this. I really don't, Garrett. I don't mind this.
He was asked to bunt in the 10th inning against Arizona on Wednesday night and popped it up to the first baseman.
He did everything right there. He just topped it.
I've got to give him a chance to swing. You still think he should be bunting?
I can't second guess this. I understand what Terry's thinking. We're just struggling to score.
And he squares and bunts it. A good bunt. Dominguez bobbles it. Solarte recovers and gets the out. A perfect bunt by d'Arnaud. Almost wound up getting aboard, but good recovery by Solarte after the bobble by Dominguez to get the out at first on the sacrifice.
Okay, so now we got the pinch hitter, Kelly Johnson, and decisions to be made now by Andy Green, the manager. You got Jose Reyes, who's tough to double up. Do you bring your infield in? Do you walk Johnson? Here's the bunt again. Really a nice play and heads up play by Solarte here.
Now the Padres are going to bring their infield in.
I kind of agree here with Reyes leading off.
I think they've got to pitch to Johnson because you just can't think that you're going to double up Reyes. And you got Dominguez, a hard thrower on the mound, so Andy Green will hope for the strikeout. And Johnson takes a fastball for a strike.
And this is the guy you want off your bench, the veteran off the bench, Kelly Johnson. No matter what happens here, how the outcome, he's the right man for the spot.
Kelly flied out as a pinch hitter in last night's game. Been getting a lot of playing time lately. Hit a home run in the series against Arizona in the 9th inning. And he fouls one at the plate, and quickly he's down to the count 0-2. Reyes on deck, fresh off the disabled list. He scored the Mets' only run tonight.
Got to get this run in.
Takes a pretty good fly ball to get Flores home from third. De Aza at second. Dominguez ahead in the count 0-2 on Kelly Johnson. And that sails on him. Betancourt able to snag it, 1-2. Flores led off the inning with an infield hit. De Aza drew a walk. Sacrificed along by d'Arnaud. 1-2 to Johnson. And Kelly takes low and in. 2-2. Johnson has 3 pinch hit home runs for the Mets this year. They'd settle for a little single right now.
Sacrifice fly.
2-2 coming. Just missed low. 3-2.
Again, the second time with the infield in the Padres, and on the right side of the infield, Schimpf really playing pole.
Dominguez got ahead on Johnson 0-2. Now Kelly's run the count full. Second and third and 1 out. And Johnson lofts one to center. That'll get the run in. Jankowski back. Way back. And Jankowski over the shoulder makes the catch. Flores comes in with the go-ahead run. De Aza goes to third. Kelly Johnson gets the job done. Jankowski prevents it from being a whole lot more. But the Mets go in front 2-1.
Well, that's kind of shades of Willie Mays in that World Series catch that he made at the Polo Grounds.
He was playing so shallow, Keith.
This is over his shoulder. Mays had this is a terrific catch. Fastball away. It's almost like he took something off of that pitch. He's a little out in front.
Now Reyes lofts one foul. Keith, the amount of distance Jankowski covered to make that play was extraordinary.
Yes. It had a lot of air time.
He was playing very shallow against Johnson in that situation.
So it makes DeGrom the pitcher of record here to get a chance to get a W.
0-2 to Reyes. Watch this. He's not even in a shot.
There he goes.
Look at that.
It had a lot of hang time. Well done.
It's good root efficiency. Well, Kelly Johnson close to an extra base hit, settles for the sac fly, and the Mets go right back in front. And that means Jacob deGrom has a chance to be a winning pitcher. Reyes looking to tack on a 2-out run with De Aza at third. And Jose fists one foul. Reyes walked to lead off the first inning. Advanced on a wild pitch, an error, and a Neil Walker single. The score would have been the Mets' only run of the night before this 7th inning. And go back to the execution by Travis d'Arnaud on the sacrifice bunt that set the stage for that sacrifice fly by Kelly Johnson.
Over and in. Fundamentals.
0-2 coming, and Reyes keeps the at bat alive.
Lost his grip on the bat there. Boy, the flags are just almost limp inside this stadium.
So is everything else. That's what happens when it's this hot and humid. Here's the 0-2. 1-2 now to Reyes. Folks with hair have bad hair days.
That's right. Humidity just destroys a hairdo.
Wouldn't know about any of that. Dominguez ahead 1-2 on Reyes, and Jose just got a piece to stay alive. Dominguez got unlucky on Flores' infield hit to start the inning, but then really hurt himself by walking De Aza on 4 pitches, and that set the stage. De Aza sporting the oven mitt as he leads off third. And Reyes pops another one foul. So Jose, in his first game back from the disabled, is getting his money's worth here in the 7th inning. Jose missed 17 games after pulling his oblique. Played 2 games on rehab for Brooklyn and right back at it tonight. Eighth pitch of the at bat coming from Dominguez to Reyes. And he struck him out to end the inning. But the Mets scratch out a run in the 7th. And put Jacob deGrom in front 2-1 as the Mets go to the bullpen for the 8th. To you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great savings on 2016 models. That's Health Report brought to you by Affinity Health Plan, serving the needs of New Yorkers for over 30 years. Bad news this week on Zach Wheeler. Discomfort in his elbow after one rehab assignment, and he's going to see Dr. James Andrews to see what the esteemed physician thinks about his elbow. Meanwhile, Jacob deGrom continues to be fantastic. 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. 7th time in his last 9 starts he's allowed 1 run or fewer.
Well, he was brilliant again, pitching in another tight game. Shades of the '69 Mets when Seaver and Kuzman and Gentry pitched all those tight ball games. And here's Addison Reed coming in, and what a phenomenal year he's having. 6th in the ERA in National League relievers with that 2.01 earned run average. He's been phenomenal, Gary. 27 holds, and holds are a statistic that are kind of bogus. He's got 27 legitimate holds.
Jabari Blash leading off in the 8th inning has struck out and grounded into a double play tonight. Reed, who has given up very little this year, had a bobble in his last outing against Arizona. Working behind Bartolo Colon, he gave up an 8th inning run after a leadoff double by Gene Segura. And now protecting a 1-run lead in the 8th inning tonight. And Blash strikes out on the fastball. 1 man down in the 8th. That is 24 consecutive batters retired by the Mets bullpen, including 19 in a row last night. The 6 1/3 perfect innings by the Mets bullpen, the longest perfect performance by a Mets bullpen in their franchise history. Christian Bethancourt is 0 for 2, grounded out and popped up. Previous best, 1996, the Mets got 6 perfect innings from their bullpen. Robert Person, Paul Byrd, and Dave Malicki. And like the game last night, it was a loss. Last night it was Lugo, Goodell, and Robles. Hit sharply, but righted Walker. And he throws out Bethancourt 2 away. Out of Town Scores brought to you by the new movie Hands of Stone, in theaters everywhere August 26th. Cardinals got a birthday grand slam from Randall Grichuk to snap the Cubs' 11-game winning streak. Jock Peterson drove in a couple, and Dodgers beat the Pirates 8-4. See the Phillies lead the Rockies. Nationals on top of the Braves 7-1. Daniel Murphy's 22nd home run. And of greater interest to the Mets as well, the Marlins now lead the White Sox 7-6 in the bottom of the 6th. Right now, with the Cardinals win this afternoon, the Marlins and Cardinals are tied for the National League wild card lead, with the Pirates a game behind and the Mets 3 back. Addison Reed has gotten the first 2 outs, now facing Nick Noonan with the bases empty. And he skies one to shallow left. Granderson edges in. Side retired. Easy inning for Addison Reed. He threw just 7 pitches. To the bottom of the 8th, 2-1 New York. Ricky Scott and the Pix 11 news team with breaking news as it happens. Linda Church has your forecast 6 to 9 on the Pix 11 morning news, bringing you the heart of the story. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Mets with a 2-1 lead. Veteran right-hander Brandon Morrow, just back from the minor leagues, will take the mound for the Padres in the 8th.
Former Toronto Blue Jay. Lots of arm problems.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Mohegan Sun, full of action, full of possibilities, full of life. Morrow was with the Padres earlier this year, made 5 starts. They sent him to the minor leagues to adapt to the bullpen, and now here he is. He's been a starter for most of his career, although when he first came up with Seattle in 2007, he was a reliever then. At his best years, though, in Toronto, are throwing right-hander, now 32 years old, a Cal Berkeley product. You see the numbers in the minors were not particularly stellar.
Ooh, another Golden Bear.
Curtis Granderson leads off in the bottom of the 8th with the Mets bidding for some insurance, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Granderson, Walker, and Bruce for the Mets in the 8th. And it's dribbled up the line, a foul ball. 0-2. Padres starter Jared Cosard went 6 innings, allowed a run on 3 hits. Jose Dominguez pitched the 7th, gave up the go-ahead run. And now Morrow in the 8th. Padres sent Buddy Bauman to the minors after he failed to retire a batter last night. Gave up 3 runs and brought Morrow up in his place. I remember we saw Morrow start a game against the Mets in Toronto half dozen years ago, maybe, and he was just lights out. Granderson takes one the other way, hit it pretty well, but Dickerson edging back. And he's got it for the first out. And you looked at him then and you thought, wow, he could be a real linchpin in their rotation, but he's never able to stay healthy long enough to be that guy.
32 years of age now. You know, your prime years are 28 to 32, so he's on the backside.
Don't tell Bartolo Colon that.
Well, but Bart's not in his prime.
How do you know?
Bart was a ferocious flamethrower in his prime.
But he might play till he's 67.
And I hear you, because he's a wily old veteran.
Here's Neil Walker, who drove in the first Met run, and he tries to lay down a bunt. Morrow off the mound and throws him out. Now the left side of the infield was open, but they didn't push it far enough to get it past the pitcher.
Well, you can see all you got to do is put it hard down that third base line. I tell you what, I do not like that defensive configuration. Particularly, we always do it when a team's behind, trying to fight back.
You know, it's nice to see guys trying to bunt in that spot, but they've really got to practice hitting it hard, bunting it hard to that open space.
And you know something too, you really don't have to like get a running drag bunt.
Right.
I know that's the improper word today, but to me it was a drag bunt. When we were kids, you can actually stay there like almost a sacrifice bunt at the end and just push it down the line and you can walk to first.
That's a good point. I think there's a natural tendency when you're bunting for a hit. Bruce cracks one toward the right field corner, and it goes foul. Shot off the bat of Bruce at home run distance, but not the right angle. I was going to say, there's a tendency to think when you're bunting for a hit that you have to run up on it, but you're right. You can just square like you're sacrificing and bunt it hard. That's where the hits are. That's something I think a lot of guys are going to work on. As
you know, if you want to start a rally, absolutely. In a game like this, it's a one-run ball game.
I mean, their hits are there for the taking, right? So the guys who are willing to practice that and perfect it will be able to make that work for them. This is how the game evolves, right? Defense does one thing, the offense does something to adjust. Bruce takes that one to left field. On comes Dickerson to grab the line drive, and that retires the side. Mets go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Now Jeurys Familia will come in and try to secure his 40th save of the year. 2-1 New York going to the 9th. Game of the series and the homestand. It's right back here on Pix 11. Mets and Padres. Game time 1 o'clock. Coverage begins at 12:30. Steven Matz for the Mets. Clayton Richard for the Padres in a matchup of left-handers. Play of the game brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. A gem by Travis Jankowski.
Oh, this tremendous catch here over the shoulder. Shades of Willie Mays in the World Series. Up at Coogan's Bluff in the Polo Grounds.
But it also produced the go-ahead run of the game, a sacrifice fly for Kelly Johnson. And now Jeurys Familia will try and make that 1-run lead stand up as he bids for his 40th save of the season.
Well, 3 days rest. He had a long outing his last time. Out. 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 Ks.
It was his longest outing of the year. 38 pitches Wednesday night against Arizona in extra innings. And now he comes back in a save opportunity. Brett Wallace will be the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher, leading off in the 9th inning. Wallace struck out as a pinch hitter in last night's game. And the Mets put on the shift against him, and Wallace takes a knee-high fastball for a strike.
Wallace is their premier pinch hitter. 8 for 33 off the bench with 3 RBIs.
Hitting .206 for the year. Former prospect with the Astros. There have only been 7 hits in this game. The Padres have 3. The Mets have 4. Grounded into the shift. Walker comes charging. Plenty of time. 1 out. So Wallace is retired. Addison Reed worked a 1-2-3/8 after Jacob deGrom went 7. Jake's in line for his 8th win of the year. Struck out 9 in 7 innings tonight. Another brilliant outing for deGrom, who lowered his ERA to 2.30.
And hoping
started the night 4th in the National League.
Sorry, Gary. Hoping to get his 8th win. With each win, he's had to scratch for it.
Here's Jankowski, who's 0 for 2 and a walk, and the Mets are guarding both lines and playing in at the corners. Up and away for ball 1. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News with Corey Chambers, and on SNY it's WB Mason postgame live. Familia tied the club record with 43 saves last year. Trying to get to 40 tonight, with 46 more games after tonight. Behind on Jankowski, 2-0. Joel Myers, dangerous hitter, waiting on deck. Familia gets the call. 2-1. Borderline strike.
Estabrook has had a wide strike zone. He's a pitcher's umpire.
Two and 1 to Jankowski with 1 out. And he fouls it away. 2-2.
That was the pitch to hit. Fastball up, didn't sink.
That pitcher struck out 12 Padres last night. They've struck out 10 more tonight. Two coming from Familia to Jankowski. High, 3-2.
No walks. Straight away on the infield. Straight away in the outfield. Granderson playing surprisingly a little shallow. Nothing over your head here.
"3-2. Struck him out. 2 men down.
Oh, tied him up inside. Totally broke down his swing. Big leg kick. See that? His swing just completely broke down.
So now the Padres are down to their final out. Will Myers coming up. It's been a rough night for Myers. Grounded into a double play in the first. Struck out looking twice against DeGrom. 2 out, nobody on, 9th inning. And Myers watches a slider on the outside corner. 0-1.
Take that. I think you're going to get a fastball. Drops a little hammer on you.
Myers has 22 home runs this year. So Familia knows he has to be careful with him. Quick pitch, and he misses low with the fastball. 1-1. Will Myers, an all-star for the first time this year, trying to keep the Padres alive in the ninth.
Drives one deep left center field, headed back toward the wall, and it's out of here. Will Myers ties the game with a 9th inning home run, the first home run allowed by Jeurys Familia this season. Number 23 for Myers, and the Padres draw even for a second time.
Oh my word. Another fastball that did up in the strike zone with no movement. Here it is, right here, right down the pipe. No, strays a string.
He got all of it. So Solarte homered to tie it in the 7th. Now Myers homers to tie it with 2 out in the 9th. And Solarte, who hit his 12th of the year against DeGrom in the 7th, comes up here.
Well, no doubt. And he knew it too, and I think Jeurys knew it. And DeGrom, again, another frustrating evening for him. Another win eludes him.
3rd blown save of the year for Familia, who had worked 55 1/3 innings this season without allowing a single home run until this.
You can see you right down the middle of the plate. And it's clutch.
One and one to Solarte, and he takes a slider for a strike. 1-2. Each team now with 2 runs and 4 hits. It's been against type for the Mets, who have lived and died by the home run. Tonight they've scratched out the 2 runs, and it's the Padres who've hit 2 home runs to tie. Solarte pops it up, and Walker is under it. That retires the side, but not before Will Myers ties it with a home run against Jeurys Familia. Now the Mets will come up in the bottom of the 9th, trying to win it in their final turn it back. Will Myers connected against Jerry's Familia to tie this game. Here's how it looked from over Wilmer Flores' shoulder. Myers crushing one over the Great Wall of Flushing into left center field. His 23rd home run of the year. Middle. First home run against Jerry's Familia since Freddie Freeman took him deep last September 23rd. And with that, Familia suffers his third blown save of the season, and the Mets have to go to work against the lefty Ryan Buchter from South Jersey. He pitched a 1-2 3/8 inning last night. Loney, Flores, and De Aza for the Mets in the bottom of the ninth. And Loney attacks the first one, pops it up, and Noonan toward the line, reels it in. One pitch and one out for Buchter in the bottom of the ninth. Well, now Wilmer Flores will get a shot against the left-hander. Wilmer is 2 for 3 tonight, had an infield hit and scored the go-ahead run in the 7th. Wilmer hitting .338 against lefties this year with 7 of his 11 home runs.
Maybe Wilmer will get one of those balls down and middle in that he likes off the left-handers.
He lines one into center field for a base hit. Third hit of the night for Wilmer Flores. And the Mets have a 1-out base runner in the bottom of the ninth.
Nice hitting, Wilmer. Pitch wasn't even close. Jeez, Doc.
Just wasn't sure. So now it's De Aza with the potential winning run at first and 1 out. De Aza's 0 for 2 and a walk. He faced Buchter last night and flied out against him. And he takes low and away for ball 1.
Deep outfield, shaded a little bit to the opposite field. In center. They're giving the lines here. That third base line's wide open.
Solarte playing it on the grass against him. And De Aza takes a cutter for a strike, and it's 1-1.
Remember in last night's game, De Aza took a hit by pitch off a left-hander. It wasn't off of Buchter. It was off of Buddy Bauman. It hit him in the cheek and grazed the cheek. Off the neck.
Travis d'Arnaud waiting on deck. Nobody up in the Padres bullpen. This is Buchter's inning. And De Aza takes a strike. And now it's 1-2. Greg Levin's busy in the Mets bullpen. Remember, Familia worked 2 innings his last outing on Wednesday night. But it doesn't shape up for him to do that again because his spot in the batting order is 2 hitters away. Flores at first and 1 out. 1-2 to De Aza. And he takes just off the plate. 2-2. Buchter keeping everything away from De Aza in this at bat.
The crowd has not left here. It's hot and steamy, muggy night.
They're waiting for the post-game concert.
That's true. But they're also waiting for the Mets to break this 4-game losing streak.
Not like they have too much time on their hands.
Tick, tick, tick.
2-2 coming, and De Aza fouls it away. That was a stick shot.
Oh, they're down there. They're
Come
getting
on,
ready
come
to
with me. Come sail away. Mets haven't had a walk-off win in nearly 3 months. May 27th against the Dodgers. And Curtis Granderson hit a walk-off home run.
What a walk-off gap double.
De Aza working a tough turn at bat here against the lefty. 2-2 coming. And he got tied up, but he held up in time, and now it's 3-2.
I can't send Flores here. Can't do it.
TJ Rivera with the bat in his hands. Set to hit for Familia if it gets that far. Let's remember we're going with a short bench these days. They've already used Kelly Johnson, who had a sac fly. De Aza hits one to center field, chasing Jankowski back, but he's got room and gets there for the second out. Boy, Jankowski's looked so good playing center field in this series. Made that look easy. 2 out.
He's having fun out there.
The catch he made against Johnson in the 7th was special. This one was more routine. So now 2 out, and it's left to d'Arnaud, who's had a good night at the plate. After going 3 for 4 with a home run last night, a single, a walk, and a sacrifice in this game. He'll build the go-ahead run in the 7th. Now hoping to do some damage in a tie game in the 9th. To d'Arnaud, and Travis takes it outside. 2-0. TJ Rivera out on deck. He'll bat if d'Arnaud keeps the inning going. d'Arnaud with a 2-0 advantage. And he takes a high strike. 2-1. Ryan Booker's had a terrific year for the Padres. 52 innings, only 29 hits allowed. And d'Arnaud swings through the fastball. 2-2.
Huge swing, almost falls down. Talking about
you were talking about his balance earlier when you were comparing his swing from 2 years ago.
Like a tree falling on getting chopped down.
Flores at first with 2 down. 2-2 to d'Arnaud, and he strikes out to end the inning. So Buckner comes in, throws up a 0 in the bottom of the 9th, and we are headed to extra innings at Citi Field. Tied at 2.
Back, we're in the 10th inning, extra innings here, 2-2 ball game. That's Times Square down there, right in between the 5th and 6th inning. And geez, Jacob deGrom, victory snatched. Solo home run, clutch home run by Wil Myers. His 23rd. Jerry Blevins comes in to pitch the 10th for your Metsies.
Alex Dickerson to lead off for San Diego. Mets played their second extra inning game on the homestand. Dropped a 12-inning affair to the Diamondbacks on Wednesday night. Mets are 3-4 in extra innings this year. The Padres are 5-3. And Dickerson goes after the curveball. 1-1.
A big sweeping curveball of Jerry Blevins. How many pitches for Familia, Gare? You remember?
15.
Thank you.
Jerry's Familia had faced 246 batters since he last gave up a home run, before Wil Myers took him deep with 2 out of the 9th to tie this game. Ryan Schimpf on deck, and then Jabari Blash for the Padres in the 10th. Dickerson 1 for 3 tonight, and he takes just off the plate with a fastball. Now Blevins behind 3-1. There's a strike, 3-2.
Yep. Anything borderline with Mike Estabrook is a strike. Corners, elevation, knees are letters, and that's fine. He's been very consistent. You should know that as a hitter. Swing the bat.
3-2 coming, and Dickerson reaches for one, bounces it to third. Tough play for Flores, off balance, and Dickerson beats it out. Flores just doesn't get rid of the ball quickly. It's the second time in recent days that he's had a similar kind of play where he just couldn't get rid of it.
Oh, Wilmer gets the ball here. He always has trouble with his footwork too. He couldn't get it out of the glove, and that double clutch was enough for Dickerson to beat it out. He was really smelling that base hit, and he came up roses. And there's Wilmer right there. Just see the double clutch, right? Just couldn't get it out. And that's the difference right there.
Dickerson not particularly fleet of foot, but he winds up with an infield hit. So the leadoff man out for the Padres, who have their 5th hit of the night. And now Ryan Schimpf, the batter. And the way he has swung the bat, it's hard to believe that Andy Green will ask him to bunt.
No, I don't think so, even though he has struggled against left-handers, Gary. 143 to be exact, but only small slice. 2 for 14, but one of those hits, of those 2 hits, was a bomb.
He's hit 12 home runs in just 145 at bats, so he's certainly a threat. So we'll see how the Padres decide to play it. Flores comes in on the grass against the threat of the bunt, and Schimpf not squaring, takes the curveball out of the strike zone. So no hint of a bunt on the first pitch. Takes a long look toward Glenn Hoffman, his third base coach, to see if it's on now. Dickerson at first, not getting much of a lead. Nobody out in the 10th. And Schimpf takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Jerry Blevins last worked on Thursday afternoon. Faced 4 batters, retired them all against Arizona in the final game of that series. Each team now with 2 runs and 5 hits. Mets twice have had the lead. Padres have twice tied it with a home run.
Well, just the 3rd blown save of the season for Jeurys Familia, the all-star closer.
Dickerson's got 3 stolen bases, but he is
Not a fast runner. That's not what he's known for. But Blevins making sure. And Schimpf takes the fastball inside, 2-1.
White Sox just tied that game up in Miami 7-7, and they got runners on second and third. Nobody out.
It's at the top of the 8th. It's a Justin Morneau RBI double. He's come back from all the physical problems he's had. Two and two now to Schimpf. Well, it was another stellar night with no payoff for Jacob deGrom. 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Had a shutout going with 2 out of the 7th, but then Yangervis Solarte took him deep to tie the game. That's got a lead for deGrom after he came out of the game for a pinch hitter, but that didn't stand up either. Two from Blevins to Schimpf. Dickerson not getting more than a 1-step lead. Eric Goodell getting loose. Goodell was part of that great bullpen performance last night. Struck out the side in his only inning. Now the 2-2. And Schimpf rockets one down the line toward the corner. Foul.
He's quick inside, Gary. I wonder what origin that last name is, Schimpf. I wonder if it's a shortened name. You never know.
Germanic, I would think.
I would think, yes.
He's from Louisiana.
Keep the ball away from him.
Just missed. Blevins trying to surprise him with the fastball away, and he just missed the plate.
That's a lot of guts right there.
Well, it's a pitch that Mike Estabrook has deemed a strike at times tonight. Now 3-2 and nobody out. Dickerson the runner at first. Not going. And Schimpf pops it up. Walker comes in to call. And that's the first out of the inning. So Blevins wins that battle against Ryan Schimpf. Now 1 out. And now Terry Collins on his way out to the mound. You got right-hand hitters coming up, Blash and Bethancourt. Eric Goodell has been throwing in the bullpen. So Blevins has faced his 2 batters, and he'll exit. Goodell coming on. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. We'll be right back to Citi Field.
last 5 days as he comes in here in the 10th.
Well, Eric has done a heck of a job. 24 games, you see his ERA. And, you know, a lot of times relievers' ERAs can be deceptive. His is not. He's pitched wonderfully.
See, as we stranded every inherited runner he has come in with. Gotten both lefties and righties out. Yesterday, never better. Struck out the side in the 6th inning, including Jabari Blash, who has struck out twice more tonight and grounded into a double play. So Goodell comes in with Dickerson at first and 1 out. 2-2 game in the 10th. The 5th Met pitcher of the night. And Blash goes after the first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Mets did fortify their bullpen tonight. They called up Gabriel Ynoa, who's been primarily a starting pitcher throughout his minor league career, but he is here for bullpen help. John Neese has been moved into the starting rotation. Will start against the Diamondbacks Wednesday night in Arizona, taking Logan Verrett's spot. Verrett sent back to Las Vegas. So the Mets have an extra reliever for the game tonight. Problem is they used a lot of bullpen last night. So that splitter misses low and away 1-1. Seth Lugo went 2 1/3, so he's not available tonight. Hansel Robles, who by the way today is celebrating his 26th birthday. Happy birthday, Hansel. Went 3 perfect innings last night, so he's not available. It's had it set up the way they wanted it. Late inning lead with Reed and Familia. They got within 1 out but couldn't close the deal. There's a fastball strike, 1-2 to Blash. So that presses Blevins, and now Goodell into service. So Goodell worked last night for an inning. The night before he was off. The night before that only 1 batter. And the night before that he got 5 outs. That's a lot of work in a short period of time. Struck him out. Fans Blash for the 2nd straight night. 3rd time Blash has been struck out tonight.
Blash does not like the ball upstairs. He's under it all the time. He's a low ball hitter. The home run he hit, this back-to-back, that Schimpf and a Blash back in the 1st inning. I had to steal your line there, Gare.
You can use my stuff anytime.
It was a low ball that he hit out. He likes that ball down.
Here's Bethancourt, who's 0 for 3 tonight. He struck out against Goodell last night. And Bethancourt goes after a low and away fastball, 0-1. Bethancourt tonight has grounded out twice and popped up. Brandon Maurer, the closer for the Padres, is up. Brad Hand, the lefty, is up as well. Bethancourt with a huge cut comes up empty, and it's 0-2. Talk about being off balance, Keith.
Falling over the plate, not a good thing. You used to do that with Gibson. Fall over the plate like that, you'd be ducking the next pitch. But that's a long time ago.
Goodell ahead 0-2. Runner takes off. The throw by d'Arnaud. Dickerson is tagged out. Inning over. Second night in a row that d'Arnaud has thrown out a potential base stealer. 2-4 on the caught stealing of Dickerson.
Nice throw out by a mile.
Walker slapping on the tag. That gets the Mets through the top of the 10th. Now we go to the bottom of the 10th. Still a 2-2 game. Baseball is brought to you by Land Rover, Above and Beyond. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By the Honda Summer Clearance Event. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. By Six Flags Great Adventure. Go big, go Six Flags Great Adventure. And by ChevyOffers.com. Brad Hand worked 2 innings last night, right back out there tonight.
He sure did. Do a nice, splendid 2 innings of work. 3 strikeouts, no hits, no walks.
TJ Rivera will pinch hit for the Mets, leading off in the bottom of the 10th. Rivera 2 for 9 at the start of his major league career. It'll be Rivera, then Jose Reyes and Curtis Granderson in the bottom of the 10th in a 2-2 game. And TJ takes a fastball for a strike. Rivera's got a couple of starts under his belt. Started at third base last night, went 0 for 3. After leading the Pacific Coast League in hitting at .349 before his call-up. And he pops one foul. Quickly 0-2. Reyes next, then Granderson. Each team with 2 runs and 5 hits. Mets twice took the lead. Twice the Padres tied it with a home run. Solarte in the 7th, Myers in the 9th. To Rivera, and he fouls one away. DJ hit 11 home runs at Vegas before his call-up. But more a contact hitter than a power hitter.
Had 26 doubles in Vegas. So he's a doubles hitter.
And he strikes out on the curveball. Bethancourt makes the toss. And Hand has a strikeout to start the bottom of the 10th.
Well, we got Jose Reyes coming up swinging at the right, from the right side of the plate where he's had more success, hitting over 300 and with 2 home runs.
But also the side that troubled him with the oblique injury was a left oblique. And the reason Jose had to be pushed back a couple of days in his rehab assignment was because that right-handed swing was still troubling him. So this will be his first right-handed at bat.
2 home runs from this side of the plate.
0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Reyes has done well against Hand. 3 for 5 with a home run in his career. Solarte playing right at the bag at third. Reyes chases one. Ball and a strike. White Sox took the lead in that game in Miami 8-7 as they go to the bottom of the 8th.
Wasn't it Gary? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did grow up watching the Giants play the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine, and that charge, I think it originated in Dodger Stadium when I was a kid growing up.
I don't know. It's been around for as long as I can remember.
Really?
But you're older than I am.
I am. Don't forget it.
Significantly.
Yes.
Reyes lifts one foul, and that'll go out of play.
Significantly. That one went over my head briefly.
I'm the middle child of the booth, you know.
Middle means you're the most giving, the peacemaker.
You're the eldest. The golden child. Ronnie's the youngest. Troublemaker.
Yes. Never got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
2-2 coming. And Reyes fouls it off. Of course, in real life, Ronnie is the oldest.
Right.
In real life, you are the youngest.
Correct.
And in real life, I'm the middle, just like here.
Well, Ronnie and I tried the little role reversal.
Ronnie's got a birthday coming up.
Yes, he does, Friday.
2-2 from Hand to Reyes, and he strikes him out on a fastball up and away. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hand to start the bottom of the 10th.
Chases a high fastball here again.
So Hand, after retiring 6 in a row last night, has struck out his first 2 batters tonight. Now Granderson, who's 0 for 4 tonight, struck out against Hand last night. And the slider misses down for ball 1. Granderson 2 for 13 against Brad Hand. And the Mets saw plenty of when he was in a Marlins uniform. And Granderson rolls one down to Myers. He'll take it himself. And the Mets go out 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 10th. On we move to the 11th at Citi Field, still tied at 2. Field, Mets and Padres tied 2-2. Mets hoping to snap a 4-game losing streak, but the Padres have rallied twice to tie it. And with the game extended into the 11th, Gabriel Ynoa will make his major league debut.
Well, you see his numbers in Las Vegas. 10-5 in 23 starts. Sinking fastball, average, above average breaking ball, changeup is one of his out pitch. And he's got his major league debut, and he's in an extra inning ball game at Citi Field. Got to hold the fort.
23-year-old Dominican, who has been a starter throughout his minor league career. 126 starts, only 8 relief outings over 7 minor league seasons. So he's put in an unusual situation for him. But facing a Padres team that's completely unfamiliar with him, so that might work to his advantage.
I'm sure he's extremely happy to be in the orange and blue at Citi Field.
It's in everybody. Christian Bethancourt, first man to face him. Bethancourt was at the plate when Dickerson was thrown out trying to steal to end the top of the 10th. So Ynoa is the 6th Met pitcher of the night. And he may be asked to go as far as this game goes.
Well, Robles went 2 the other night, last night. No, 3. He's toast.
Yeah, Lugo and Robles are not going to be available tonight. Lugo went 2 1/3. Robles went 3. That leaves only Josh Edgin left in the Mets bullpen after Ynoa. And Ynoa, having been a starting pitcher his whole career, this is his spot to give the Mets length. Falls behind Bethancourt 2-0. Ynoa has good control. He averaged just 2.3 walks per 9 innings at Vegas, but he gave up a ton of hits, 159 hits in 138 innings. Which is always hard to parse those numbers from Vegas because it's such a hitter-friendly environment. Bethancourt takes a strike. 94 from Ynoa, 2-1. And Bethancourt screws himself into the ground, swinging at that fastball. 2-2.
I'll dig in tomorrow. Looks like Bethancourt was trying to put his club ahead with one swing.
Like he was doing that in the last inning, too.
That's what he likes to do. He overswings.
Reaches for the slider and fouls it off. Nick Noonan on deck, and then the pitcher's spot. Padres still have 3 players left in their dugout, all right-hand batters. Alexei Ramirez, Adam Rosales, and Derek Norris, all available to Andy Green off the bench. And Bethancourt fouls one that comes up and hits him, and it stays 2-2. Jacob deGrom went 7, allowed a run on 3 hits. Addison Reed, Jeurys Familia, Jerry Blevins, Eric Goodell have all pitched in relief, and now Inoa making his big league debut in the 11th. Padres tied it with 2 out in the 9th inning on a Will Myers home run against Familia, the first home run Familia has allowed this season, leading to his 3rd lone save in 42 tries. Bethancourt pops it up. Walker waiting for it. 1 out. So Inoa retires his first big league hitter, and now Nick Noonan, who has struck out twice and flied out, 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series. Noonan began his baseball life as a first-round draft pick of the Giants. Never stuck there. Got a brief tour in the Yankee organization last year before they let him go. Went back to the Giants organization, and then finally signed with San Diego in the offseason, coming back to his hometown.
You almost want to say, hello, Noonan.
Almost. And Noonan hits one deep to left. Back goes Granderson onto the warning track, and he runs it down. 2 out.
Well, at the edge of the track. No, halfway back. It's a long out here.
Now Adam Rosales will be the pinch hitter. Rosales is dangerous. He has 8 home runs and 156 at bats. Though he's hitting just .205. Veteran utility man. Bats with 2 out and nobody on.
3 for 10 as a pinch hitter.
He swings through the fastball, 0-1. That's allowed the heart of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 11th. Brandon Maurer, the Padre closer, hoping for a lead to work with. But it appears as though Andy Green is going to bring Maurer in whether he has the lead or not. With Rosales batting for Brad Hand. And nobody else up in the San Diego bullpen. Usually on the road, managers will save their closer until they have a lead in extra innings, but sometimes you don't have a choice.
Well, he's got Campos out there, and Villanueva. 2 right-handers. That's interesting. It's kind of a no-show of confidence.
Unless they're not available for some reason. 1-2 from Inoa. And Rosales checks his swing. Did he go? He went around strike 3. Gabriel Inoa has his first major league strikeout, and a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 11th. Nice job by Inoa. Now the Mets will try and win it in the bottom of the 11th, tied at 2. save of the season last night comes into a tie game in the bottom of the 11th.
Well, he's their closer recently, a 5 of 9 saves, not Sterling by any stretch of the imagination, but he came in last night, had a clean inning, picked up his 5th save.
Some of those blown saves were before he was a closer, you know, in those 7th and 8th innings where they charge you with a blown save, but you never have a chance to get a save.
Yeah, and he's a big, tall kid. He throws strikes. He comes right after hitters, and he works fast, Garrett.
Yes, he does. Worked a 1-2-3 ninth last night and took him about 17 seconds to do it. Mets will have Walker, Bruce, and Loney 3, 4, and 5 in the order coming up in the bottom of the 11th. Each team with 2 runs and 5 hits, so it's been an offense-starved night. It scratched out a run. Walker drove it into the 1st inning with an opposite field single. They got a sac fly by Kelly Johnson in the 7th. And Walker with a late swing on the fastball, 0-1. So each team has now used 6 pitchers tonight. Andy Green going to his closer in a tie game on the road. Unconventional managerial strategy. Hit toward the hole, base hit. Walker found the seam in the defense despite the shift for his 2nd hit of the night.
Well, it's tough to find a hole here when you got 3 defenders over there. Surgical strike right there, Garrett.
Smart bomb. So the Mets got the leadoff man out of the bottom of the 11th. Walker's 2nd hit of the night. And now Jay Bruce has gone 0 for 4. Bruce has hit 2 line drives to the outfield that have been caught tonight. Padres playing deep now, no doubles with a winning run at first. And Bruce is late on the fastball, 0-1. And Jay Bruce has 9 walk-off RBIs in his career. Looking to create himself a moment here in his 2nd week as a Met. It's been a struggle for him so far, just 7 hits and 43 at bats. Now he misses away, a ball and a strike. James Loney on deck. Jay Bruce for the year has been terrific at producing runs. Not so much since joining the Mets. The off-speed pitch outside, 2-1.
Keeping the ball away. Saw Steve Garvey one time on national TV in Montreal, and I was watching. Pitcher went into his stretch, Gary. A little fastball right by him. Stan Bonson was pitching, and I remember I was sitting. He was in Chicago. We played a day game, and he jumped on top of the plate when Bonson went into his stretch and looked at second base.
2-2 to Bruce. And he fouls it back.
When Bonson looked back to second base, Garvey jumped right on top of the plate, and he looked. Oh, I guess he was looking away. Got a slider away and hit a 2-run home run to win the ball game. And I said, "Ah, that's pretty smart."
And now a full count to Jay. What do you think about sending Walker?
Gosh, I'm afraid to, because Bruce has not hit the swing in the bat good. You've already had 2 swings and misses. I mean, you roll the dice. Either way, it's fine with me.
Not going. Bruce cranks one deep right field. That goes Blash and makes the catch right in front of the wall. 3rd time tonight that Bruce has hit the ball hard to the outfield, only to have it result in an out. And if they're not playing no doubles, it's probably over his head.
Gets a little more lift. Might be out of here. I mean, it's a frustrating night for Bruce. Hit the ball hard, but that's a positive that you've hit the ball hard.
So Bruce made his bid, came up shy. Now James Loney with 1 out and 1 on. Loney is 0 for 4 tonight. Just 1 hit in his last 21 at bats. And he goes after the first pitch fastball, 0-1.
Did you pack already?
No.
You didn't pack?
I never packed before the morning.
Well, I got 1 bag packed. since we got to wear
It's plenty of time.
sport coats. And I gotta
You got to relax.
oh, I'm fine with it. I've been doing this my whole life. I got it down to a science. I'm sure you do too.
I do.
All I have to do is one small hanging bag because we're going to be in San Francisco and we wear coat and ties. So I got to put my standard navy blazer, 3 shirts because I got only 3 games there. We got 3 ties. I already got the pants packed. Piece of cake. 9:45 car. If this game goes to like 4 in the morning, I can just sleep all the way in the back seat all the way in. Perfect.
Just glad you have it all figured out. Maybe you, in a future broadcast, could show us your packing technique. 0-2 to Loney.
And he takes one the other way. That's going to fall for a base hit. Walker trying for third. The throw by Dickerson, and it's off the bag, and Walker arrives safely. Great base running by Walker with the infield in the shift. There was nobody at third base, and it was the pitcher Mauer who took that throw wide of the bag.
Well, this is the shift now. We've seen this happen in this homestand twice now. No one there to cover third. And you can see everybody scrambling to get there. If anything, it could be the catcher can run over to third base, and then the first baseman it can come down the line. I mean, this sets up a whole potential, Gary, in spring training of new fundamentals on certain situations.
Right. There was every chance that ball could have gotten by the 2 guys who were in the neighborhood, and the Mets could have won the game right there.
I mean, the catcher can come up the line and cover. First baseman can come down.
I mean, Solarte gets over there having played on the right side of the infield. He had to race all the way over 120 feet.
Can't get there in time, and there you go. So if you're thinking too much, you got yourself in trouble now. There's no way that should be first and third.
So now Wilmer Flores with a chance to end this game. Mets have the winning run at third with 1 out. Flores is 3 for 4 tonight. The infield comes halfway for the Padres. Walker at third, Loney at first, and 1 out. And Flores takes off the plate, ball 1. Now with Loney at first and Flores at the plate, they could play the middle infielders back for a double play, couldn't they? You've got no speed at first base or at home plate.
But on a slow roller, you lose the ball game. I like the halfway in the middle infielders, Gary. I do like the halfway.
The outfield comes in. It's hit back through the middle, grabbed by the second baseman Schiff. He throws it wide. Walker scores, and the Mets win the ball game. Flores puts it in play. Walker races home, and the Mets snap their 4-game losing streak with an 11th inning win.
It's going to be a fielder's choice here. Schimpf makes the bad throw home. Now, is it going to be an E4 again?
No, they just called it a fielder's choice all the way.
Okay. And so an RBI.
I'm not sure he had a chance to get Walker even with a good throw. Walker got a good break. As Flores got it past the pitcher, that was the key. And brings home the winning run in the bottom of the 11th inning, and the Mets win it 3-2.
Well, a little bit of a gift there from the Padres.
The base running by Walker going first to third on the Loney hit to left field really paid off.
Twice in this homestand, we have seen shifts on the infield and allowed the runner to advance to third base, set up the inning.
Gabriel Ynoa gets a win in his major league debut, and we go downstairs to Doug Williams. Doug?
Walk-off, but How do you stay calm, cool, and collected in those situations?
Well, you know what? You know, with everything that is going on with us, we're keeping our head up, and it's going every day when we struggle a little bit and we have the support of our fans.
How big did this win feel, given how you guys were struggling beforehand?
It's definitely a big one, you know. Hopefully, it'll get us going through all the games that left.
And Jacob deGrom, just an unbelievable performance, keeping you guys in this game. What can you say about his performance, not just tonight, but late?
I mean, we're not getting him in runs to win games, but, you know, he kept us in the game, and the big thing is that we got to win.
Wilmer, thanks for doing this. Enjoy the win.
All right, thank you.
Gary, back to you.
Wilmer Flores, his 5th career walk-off RBI on the fielder's choice. Here's how it looked.
Slider, little cutter off the end of the bat. Now check out what could have happened, what second baseman Schimpf could have done here. He could have tagged double play right here. I know it's a tough call. You got a slow runner at the plate. He could have gone for the double play, but I understand it's tough. When you're playing halfway, you're supposed to cut off the run at home, but they could have done that.
Game summary brought to you by the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. Mets get back to 500 for the season. No decision for Jacob deGrom, but he was brilliant again tonight. Mets get a run in the bottom of the 11th. The Mets had lost their last 7 games that had been decided by 1 run, but they win this one by a single run. Gabriel Ynoa in his big league debut works a 1-2-3 top of the 11th and gets the victory as the Mets snap a 4-game losing streak and even up the series with the Padres. Rubber game of the series tomorrow afternoon with Steven Matz on the mound against Clayton Richard. Our coverage begins on Pix 11 tomorrow at 12:30. Next SNY telecast Monday night when the Mets open the road trip in Arizona. Coverage begins at 8:30 with Bartolo Colon on the mound. Coming up on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News with Corey Chambers. On SNY, it's WB Mason post-game live. Big win for the Mets tonight as they beat the Padres in 11, 3-2. Neil Walker coming home with the winning run as the Mets get their first walk-off win since the month of May. Now for Keith Hernandez, Doug Williams, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon right back out there on Pix 11.